All right. Hey, thanks for being patient. I was just trying to set a few things up so that we could maybe do something a little bit different. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to see if you can patch you guys in uh, by phone or by Skype. I have a possibility to do that, and let's see if we can make that happen at some point uh, during the night. So let me just check in with everybody. Thanks for being here. We're going to go for maybe about hour and a half, 2 hours. We'll see where this thing goes. We got Mary, Tinfoil Tiara. There's Ryan, Nancy Dickerson. Really, this is coming on now? Yep, it's on now. There's Uncle Glenn. Frank Breyer. There's Joan S. Lils is here. Gas, 1123. Cousin Yoda. There's a lot of shady things going on in the polls here at the post. Yeah, I mean, so I've been following this thing, trying not to follow too closely because I'm going to put my hands around it and strangle it. But I have been following it, and there is definitely some very unusual stuff already starting to take place. Sheila Sampson's here, FUP 77. Yeah, the energy is like I'm getting really bad vibes. I have to tell you, I'm getting really bad vibes. I mean, that's not like, well, how do I say this? I'm uneasy. I have an uneasy feeling about what's going on because I don't think that the reality that we have witnessed over the last 4 to 5 days is necessarily going to translate into what we're going to be shown with what's going on at the polls. And I'm going to skip around. We're gonna cruise around the internet tonight. I'm going to tap in a little bit to Alex Jones. I'm going to see what's going on over there, over to InfoWars. So I'm going to go to a few different places tonight, and we're going to try to get some live coverage as to what's happening, and get some real time feedback. And again, I've hooked up Skype, so maybe we can figure out how to work with that, and you guys can call in. I'll give you a number, and then we can talk. What the heck is Texas going into the red? Why the heck is Texas not going into the red, or why the heck is Texas going into the red? What do you mean? Hey, Ray and Robinette, what's happening? Good to see you. 53 waiting, but only 13 likes. Remember to hit the like button. Thanks, man. Jim Stone predicts Dim's going to steal it. Again, I said today and happened to saying that astrologically, this is Trump's election. Now, the one thing you have to remember is that, Biden is a Scorpio, and we are in Scorpio season, and that sun is going through his 12th house. So anything could happen, right? Anything could happen behind the scenes. Sullen fires across the Atlantic glow to America's shore, piercing souls of warlike men who rise in silent night. Texas blue. I don't know about Texas going blue. We'll see about that. There's a lot that's happening, and there's a lot of votes that have yet to be taken into account. Looks like voter fraud in Ohio down by, what is that number? 300,000 votes. Wow. They wouldn't even get a decent candidate, and they have him in the lead. 50% are in Ohio. Biden is winning by 8%. This is bad. Hello, Lisa Marie. Uneasy, a little depressed, but working through it. I have AJ on mute next to this tab. We'll punch into InfoWars later on. That what's going on, Sandra? Hey, Carol. Hope you're feeling well. Hope you're feeling well. I'm about to say, yeah, he looks like shit. Alex Jones looks like shit, unfortunately. So we're gonna be just hit with a major anxiety attack. So one of the things that we're gonna talk about, I think, is mindset. All right, because I think mindset is going to be really important. And we got the Astro Cat in the house. There he is. Do you want to say hi to your adoring fans? Or do you just want to sit on my lap? Come on. 3 voting districts in Philadelphia did not allow poll watchers in the facilities. This should be your president right here. This guy. Yeah, they're gonna try to steal this fucking thing, and we know that. And it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds and how Trump is going to respond to this, and if he's not going to take it lying down. So what do we have here? Let's see. We got Danica Rose. Hey, there's Emily. Everybody, give Emily a big hug. She just lost her little kitty cat, Olivia. So give her a big Chatlandia hug because so it's a sad time when we lose our little animal friends. And Olivia had been a part of uh, uh, Emily's life for a long period of time. And if you know anything about Emily, Emily's been through a lot of changes. So for her to have one constant in her life for that period of time, it's a pretty big deal. It's a very very big deal. It's like losing little bit of a little part of her soul. It's election fraud, not voter fraud, and the entire concept is nonsense. Christine, you and I have had some good conversations about this, and I am with you on that. It is election fraud. Thank you for the correction. So we're gonna talk about mindset a little bit because I think that's going to be really important, and I kind of want to get that discussion out of the way pretty early on. So if it's not tomorrow, if it is Thursday or Friday or whenever, and they flip this thing, and Trump is no longer president of the United States, and we have to deal with a Biden and a Harris presidency. You have to get ready for that. Okay, you have to get ready for that. You have to prepare for that, and you have to start preparing now. This is the mindset piece. So there's two things that you're going to have to deal with. Number one, uh, there was a guy in line with me that was mailed 3 ballots. Lovely, lovely. Number one, you're going to have to not pay attention to the media because they will have their moment, right? The media will have their moment. All the people that we've come to love and completely and utterly hate during this period, although that might be a strong word. How about just detest? They will dance on the corpse and the grave of Donald Trump, the Republican Party, white nationalism. Just throw it all out there. Okay, you're going to see it, and you will see Schadenfreude like you will not believe. All right, it's going to be big, and you're going to have all the celebrities. You're going to have Rob Reiner. I mean, they're all going to come out, and they're just going to be foaming at the mouth. They're going to be rabid, and it's going to be hard for people, especially inside families, inside when we're coming up to the holidays, and you might have people in your family that are really anti-Trump, and you're going to have to sit down at dinner and deal with these people, right? And they're going to be ecstatic, and they're going to feel jubilant. And I'm going to tell you right now that this is a Pyrrhic victory. If this does indeed happen, it will be a Pyrrhic victory, meaning that it will be a victory um, symbolic, but it will not be a victory long lived. Now, one of the things I think if Biden wins, or they steal this thing, one of the things that um, is going to happen is that they will know, and they will know very quickly that they will not allow any kind of counterinsurgency or fifth column reproachment to the Biden Harris administration. And that is dangerous. That is very, very dangerous. So, what does that mean? It means that they could roll out arrests very quickly. They could start going after key officials inside the government that they believe have committed crimes. So, I don't think, even if Trump loses, and we've got to get through November and December, and we're going to get to January, and Joe Biden is sworn in as president of the United States. There are things that are going to happen between now and January that I think are going to be really worth paying attention to, because I don't think that the Democratic Party and the people that are behind Biden and Harris, and ultimately Harris, are going to want any kind of counterinsurgency or fifth column rapprochement to take root. Okay, voters are going to be thrown at. Yes, Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There's tons of it. There's tons of it going on right now, and it's been going on for months. By the way, it started with ballots being tossed out in in places like California. So the big picture piece is after the election. This is the big picture piece because you're going to see the Democrats and the left move at light speed. And I mean light speed because they've already got a plan in place. They're not going to sit around and try to figure it out on the fly. That's not what's going to happen. You're going to see things very, very quickly. And you might even see a forced transition of power even before January. Just keep that in mind because what they don't want is that they don't want people to have time to figure things out and then, understand that they've been ripped off and that they're going to have to do something about it. They don't want that at all. And they can accomplish that quite easily by having a false flag, another corona lockdown, whatever it is. But I will tell you that if somehow they pull this thing out and turn it around and Biden's the guy, they will move very quickly and they will not wait until January, what is it, January 10th, when Joe Biden is supposed to be sworn in. I guarantee you. I guarantee you they will push for a much faster transition because there are people, there are fifth column people, there are counterinsurgency people that are in play, that are waiting, um, and it's going to be very rapid. It's going to be very fast, and they're going to come in with guns blazing, and they're going to do everything in their power to number one undo what Trump has done, and number two move an agenda forward very very swiftly, very swiftly, and people have to be prepared for that. One of the things that most people would have to deal with would be the shock of a loss and all that stuff, right? So if that's the case, you're going to have to get your head wrapped around that very quickly, and then you're going to have to move on. Okay, you're going to have to move on, and then you're going to have to be on your toes, and you're going to have to really figure out now, where this thing is going to go next, because there's going to be a lot of pissed off Americans, and they know that. They know that, but it won't be the left that's going to be pissed off. It'll be the right. And the thing that I said before, this is like about 2 months ago, that if Biden wins, the thing about a Biden win is that theoretically, if you're on a certain side of the ledger sheet, right, you know who the enemy is. You know that Biden and Harris are bad news. Harris is even worse than Biden. And I give Biden about no more than 6 months before he has to step down and get out of the presidency, and we'll have President Kamala Harris, which has always been the plan, always been the plan. And I wrote about this a long time ago, long time ago. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. I haven't done this in a while, but let me do this. I'm going to see if I can pull this out. Let me get into I'm on my Facebook. I hardly ever go to Facebook anymore. And I know I probably should spend more time there, but I just don't. I don't. So I'm going to go into my photos here, and I'm gonna search, see if I can search for a photo. My photos. I have a lot of photos. So many photos. So I want to go way back in time. I used to do a lot. I used to put up a lot of photos on Facebook. This takes me way back into my. It was a lot of fun back in the day, and I kind of got tired of Facebook, and quite frankly, I did not want to support Mark Zuckerberg at all. But I want to find you the Harris photo that I put up. I have a photo of David Hogg as a young Nazi. That got me banned for a few weeks on Facebook. That was fun. Oh, look, you guys want to see my Facebook photos? I'll take you into my Facebook photos. Let's take a trip down memory lane with Robert's Facebook photos. Where did you go? Where did you go? Let's see. Damn it. All right. I'm in the wrong. Hold on one second. Let me get over here. Let me get back because I want to show you how early on I was with Kamala Harris. I'm going to show you how early I was with her. Okay, so let me get into my photos here. And here we go, my photos. So shall we take a trip down memory lane? It's been a long time since I looked at a lot of these photos. Not that this is an exercise in vanity, although maybe it will be. But I'm just trying to find this one photo of Kamala Harris. So I used to post a lot of photos. There's Jasper on Facebook. Um, some of them where I thought were kind of fun, kind of creative. You know, Jussie Smollett. I was commenting on a lot of things on Facebook. There's Jasper with a scarf. Doesn't he look dapper there? He's a dapper guy. Let's see. We're going to go back in time here. A lot of crazy photos. There's an Alex Jones photo. That was the garden that we started to grow back here in Fredericksburg a couple of years ago. There's Phil Dick. There's a little Kanye. I always thought this was interesting, this kind of photo effect on Jared Kushner. It looked quite anti-Christian. There's Kanye as Trump. There's our friend Regina. Regina again. There's Jim Mars. We're just taking a trip back in time. And I'm going to get to that Kamala photo now. It's going to be a ways. There's my kid. It's been a while since I've talked to him. Got to hang out with him the other day. This was me when I was dealing with a patch on my eye. Here's me and Jay in Colorado. My man Jay Widener. This was one of the guys that was involved in one of those fake shootings up in Oregon. I thought he was the hero. Oh, the big hero wearing the Piscean shirt. Interesting. Okay, there's Trump and Jesse James. Let's see what we got here. We're going to go back in time. We're going to keep going because we're going to find that Harris photo. I'm going to talk about Colin Kaepernick a little bit tonight. And today's his birthday. So I'm going to talk a bit about Colin Kaepernick. I just want to find this Kamala Harris. It's going to be way back there. I'm going to show you how far back that I had Harris in on this thing. Father Kuti. Now we're back into the 11th house days. There's my kid. This is the garden that we grew back in California. It was totally kick-ass. Great garden. That was me back in 1993. We're still trying to find the Harris photo. Was into a lot of comparison stuff. A lot of Gemini imagery, reflection. Time in the robots. There's Ed Snowden. We're going to keep going backwards, backwards, backwards. Here's Brad and Angela. That was a Photoshop piece I did that never made it to my website. It was on my old website, but not on my new one. And let's see what else. We're going way back in time. 9/11. Okay. We're going to get there. That was a bacon Bloody Mary. How about that? Bacon Bloody Mary from Austin. This is from my early Austin days. So we're going to go all the way back to actually when I was living in California. That's when I posted. There's my dearly departed friend Jorge Reyes right there. Okay, so we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Here we're in Obama phase. Bobby Dylan, I did that one. Ah, there it is, right there. Right there. Vote for Kamala Harris. She's done a remarkable job. Now, that was in 2010, and I think I have 2 photos of that. Let me go back. But I really felt like she was the one that was going to be targeted right here, all the way back in 2010. And I knew when I saw this that her path was to the White House. Her path was to the White House. I think she was admired in a bit of a scandal during that period, and there was some stuff going on with some very strange kind of secret society law enforcement stuff, and I think that's where she was getting into trouble. But I thought it was pretty clear that they had their clutches on her then. All right, so where are we going? I was watching Steve Bannon, and he and his group think of as of an hour or so ago that Trump will win. Okay, well, I think it's going to be extremely close, especially since they're hacking the vote. I got to step into the void for a moment. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I have to do that every now and then to clear the cache or whatever, so I can start to see the comments. She certainly has. She wrongly accused a good friend of sexual assault. He's black and not a fan. Kamala Harris will be your worst nightmare as a president. Worst. She's worse than Hillary Clinton. And the reason I say that, and I've said this before, is I actually think Hillary Clinton has a sense of humor. Now, she may be a detestable human, capable of doing, all the things that we've talked about. But, at the end of the day, whoever is playing the role of Hillary Clinton still has a pretty funny and wicked sense of humor. Kamala Harris has no sense of humor. None. I've never heard her say anything funny or witty or have any kind of either intellectual or creative or humorous spark. Nothing. Nothing. And I've always associated humor with intelligence. And Donald Trump's a pretty fucking funny guy. So, yeah. So he's smart too. Trump is, whatever you think of Trump, he's smart. And Harris, if you're going to make your connection between humor and intelligence, there's a Grand Canyon wide gap there. Kamala will lock us all down. Absolutely. I think Banner Crew have a pretty good handle on about an hour from now, real time too. All right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we cruise around? Let's cruise around and let's check out what's going on. I'm gonna dial up Infowars. Let's just check in with Infowars and see what Alex and crew have to say. I can do this. Laura Loomer defeated in Florida U.S. House race. That does not surprise me. I don't think even in that environment, even in that environment where she has got a ton of help, absolute ton of help from people like Roger Stone and the heavy, high-powered, big money Jewish community, she could not get elected. And will that be Laura Loomer's only time in politics? I guess we'll find out, won't we? All right, so let's just tap into Infowars here.
Yes. Is that scotch you're drinking?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. That's cultural appropriation.
Scotch from Scotland.
Hey, you like our McAdoo right here? It's a pretty good McAdoo,
huh? No, this is the thing as well. It's like I don't want to go down the path of saying that the left wing bad. I try my hardest not to go down that path and say, oh, the entire left's bad or anything. I don't. Like the vast majority of the left are good people.
They mean well, but they're idiots.
I don't want to be that mean. Okay, maybe I do a little bit. But it's just that a lot of them, I feel that they don't realize what they're bringing in. Like, see, for example, a lot of them are extremely anti-free speech. They are extremely anti-free speech, and they don't like their ideas being criticized. And the reason for that is
and usually, you know, the bad guys are anti-free speech.
Oh yeah, the bad guys are always anti-free speech. Like tyrants don't like it when people point out that they are tyrants. They don't like it, because then the population will wake up and start to slowly realize things, and before you know it, everyone's taking up arms against them. Which is why, you know, so the two ways to prevent that is take away the speech, take away the guns. That's how you prevent the population from rising up against you. Basically, if you take away the population's ability to rise up against you and defend themselves, then, putting it bluntly, they're your bitches. You can do whatever you want to them. And that's why they want to do it. They don't
I agree.
like people.
Let's look at two scenarios. Democrats win, they continue the lockdown to control, vertically integrate society. Their people are Stockholm syndromes. They love to be bankrupt. They love to be submitting. They love Islam. Trump wins, what happens?
Oh, the Democrats, Antifa, BLM, and everyone will set everything on fire. They'll set everything on fire, and they'll throw their toys out the pram and have a tantrum like they always have done. And it's just that I don't know why they can't have this moment of self-reflection. I've had several moments of self-reflection where whenever my ideas get rejected, I take a step back and think, okay, are my ideas genuinely correct? And
Because
then
you're
I'll
a
have
human
being. Yeah,
These are demons.
like, yeah, this is the thing, is like I've seen people getting proved wrong so hard, but their pride will just not allow them to admit it. And instead of just saying, okay, I was wrong, I'm sorry, I will develop myself and change my ideas and become a more accepting person of other people's opinions. But what these people do instead is, no matter how hard they get proved wrong, instead of taking their ideas back.
Okay, so I'm going to put a break on that for a minute. I don't know who this guy is, but I just saw that election map, and that was not real positive. I have to say, Count Dankla, master meme guy. Oh, thank you for clarification. Thank you for that. That map was not real positive, and there are a lot of states that are in balance, right? They're kind of in this weird flux. It's like they've got Texas as light blue, they've got Florida as ochre, and what's really weird is that Trump was winning. I guess it was South Carolina. It looks like Biden is taking North End. That doesn't surprise me. I think North Carolina, just ask the Cremies. It is, the Cremies are well aware of sort of the heavy-handed progressive politics that are being played out in North Carolina. Not only North Carolina, but even with their own business, where the company that they've partnered with for a number of years, Airbnb, is starting to make these decisions that are really impacting their business. Number one, Airbnb has decided that they will promote people of color and their Airbnb homes or their Airbnb cottages or whatever ahead of other people. They'll give them incentives, whether it's more advertising, they get a better cut, whatever kind of deal they've worked out. So that's number one. They've completely come out in support of BLM. And number two, they are making it harder for the Cremies to operate in their own home within a kind of a mask-free environment. So now they're having to unhook from Airbnb, and so they're dealing with that on kind of a global level. And of course, North Carolina has been nothing but supportive of the BLM ideology, and you're trying to disturb people and have these protests where they go and slurp your cocktails and kind of make your life hell when you go outside. So they haven't had to deal with that directly, but Asheville has clearly had to deal with that. So I think North Carolina is right. Let's see if I can find Bannon's War Room and see if we can see what's going on there. Let's see what he's got going. Doesn't look like he is. Is he streaming live now? Let's see. Let me go into YouTube. See if he's streaming live. Let's see what he has to say. Here we go. Let's tune in here.
We are starting to get some of the later early vote too. But right now we're at about 3.5 million votes in the state of Ohio, and about 58%.
Why did this guy get cut off? Well, that's frozen. Oh, isn't that fun? Let's reboot. The internet's been wonky, by the way.
Form 2016 tonight in Ohio.
I can't hear this thing. Can you guys hear this? Can you guys hear this? I'm trying to I can't hear it. Can you guys hear this? Maybe sometimes I can't can you guys even hear me? No sound. Right. Right. But you can hear me, right? You can hear me, correct? Yeah. Can you hear me? No. Can you hear me? All right. I'm going to try to go into the audio. That's unusual. Text and wonky. Yeah. Totally. Let me just check my my levels again. I just want to see if I'm okay. Let's see what we got here. My mic's looks like my mic's good. And I can't hear anything. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now I'm getting something in my right channel finally. All right, let's try that again. Okay, good. You can hear me. Let's try Bannon one more time, and let's see if we can get some audio on that. Here we go. Let's try it again.
The state that are coming in, the overperformance of Biden, you think has been capped. You see this coming back to President Trump. You think it will be a victory at the end of the day, somewhere between 5 and 7%.
Yeah, I could lower it a little bit, Steve. I could, but I'm still looking at because of Franklin. So Franklin really put a blunt, and that may tighten. And if it starts to, that'll make the difference between a bigger win and a smaller win, around 3 points or something like that. But I think there's no doubt it is following the trend that these other states have followed. And if he keeps putting up the numbers like he does on this election day vote in a place like Trumbull, then I wouldn't be surprised if Franklin, tightens back to 30. If he gets 35%, you're looking at a bigger vote.
We've got the map up. We got about a minute left with you. You got a bolt. I want to go just quickly to North Carolina. It's another one that people are really panicked about. I want to tell people right now, I think the campaign is starting to feel better about Georgia, better about Ohio, better about North Carolina. But Richard, where do you see North Carolina before you take your break? Where do you see this trending right now?
So Mecklenburg is in. They've shot it, right? And Buncombe, you go out to the west a little bit more, that's done. Montgomery, this probably will get more Trump as we go. These counties that came in early for Biden that were blue, they either shrunk considerably or Trump flipped them. We are now getting some from Dare. That's a margin I expected. Look at that margin in Carteret. Didn't I tell you last segment Carteret was going to give him a vote share?
Yep.
Look at that. I mean, this is all, and you do that all over the state, and you start to maybe not take those blue counties, but lighten them up a little bit, and that turns into a 2-point win.
Okay, we're going to let you go. We're going to come back. People are on the edge of their seats. You got Georgia, you got North Carolina, you got Ohio. but Richard Barris has done an amazing job of calling this for it, going down to the specific districts, precincts that got to turn to bring a victory for President Trump. Richard, you're a rock star. We're going to come back to you in a few minutes. Thank you very much.
All the best, Steve. See you soon.
Okay, Richard Barris of Big Data Polling. And I got to tell you, it's absolutely amazing. He's like McGinley. What we try to do is get the smartest guys around to talk to you about tomorrow's news today. They say, here's what's going to happen. Here's why it's going to happen. Here's how it's going to happen. And it tends to play out. Barris has done a tremendous job tonight. Just to reset, Richard Barris of Big Data Polling, our partner here tonight, is actually saying from being 12 points down with 49% of the vote in 30 minutes ago, he said Biden's been overperforming. And even during this conversation, I think it's down to 4 points right now. Richard Barris says that the trend continues in Ohio that he sees. He thinks at minimum President Trump will get a 3% win in Ohio, could be as high as 5 and 7. Obviously underperformed 2016, but we don't care about that. A win's a win. That's what we're looking for tonight. And remember, let's go back and reset. The foundational elements of the Trump victory will come from Ohio and Florida. You got that as your foundation. On top of that, you got Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. They're all tight. We told you they're going to be tight from the beginning. You get those three, and then you can strike and get either Pennsylvania or Wisconsin coupled with Nebraska too. We're going to get into all that when Richard Barris gets back. I want to know, I'm sure we got tons of breaking news, folks, but I got to tell you, right now, Florida looks like it's for Trump. Ohio's trending for Trump. I think in Georgia, we've down from what Fox News said at the beginning of the broadcast, we're trending in Georgia, both Richard Barris and Jenny Beth Martin. I think we got better news coming out of North Carolina. I think you're hearing better news coming out of Arizona. I can tell you, I think people that are very close to this they don't feel great, but they're feeling better. I think we've passed some real problems. I think Biden's had a couple of shots here to put this away in a few states. He had a shot in Ohio. They knew a couple of weeks ago he had a shot. That's why he went out there. That's why they ramped up the spend. Remember, the Trump campaign essentially ran out of money. You saw him being outspent 8 and 10 to 1. He did not put Ohio away 4 weeks ago. It gave President Trump, when the hard drive from hell, when Jack Maxey and Luda started dropping bombs every day after the New York Post, when the Biden campaign went into hiding, President Trump had that 10 days. You saw the turn. And tonight, you could see potentially where a victory for Biden could come from. You could see where he could overperform. The beginning of the evening on Ohio was quite disturbing, as many of these things were. Raheem, Maggie, Jack.
Lost on Ohio that everyone should understand. It's 3.1 million votes in right now, 49-50%. But of those, over 900,000 were the early ballots, all of which have been counted theoretically.
Ohio does
8
that
o'clock
quick,
tonight.
right.
And Biden had a better than 20% lead in those ballots. So now you're watching this 10, 12% tighten as what we've always expected is the deplorables are going to show up on game day and get over the football. So I think that you're going to see that tighten throughout the night. So I agree that we are going to take Ohio.
I have a fun one.
Okay.
Bloomberg has just popped. AP calls Marjorie Taylor Greene the QAnon candidate, winning her seat in Georgia.
Oh, my Lord. From Bananon to QAnon. Welcome aboard.
Capitol Hill just got a lot more
Madeline
interesting.
Peltz is going to melt down today. Midge, Fog City Midge, you got any?
Okay, we'll come back to Bannon later on. I think on my bucket list, one of the things on my bucket list would be to get drunk with Steve Bannon. I'd like to sit down and, even though I've stopped drinking, I'd crack open a bottle of scotch with Steve Bannon and see what I could get out of Steve Bannon. He is a Sag, I know. And I love my Saggies. I think the Saggies are great. Even though they're having a tough time with the South Node and Sagittarius, my favorite people. So I'd love to sit down with Bannon and get a little toasty with Bannon and see what comes out of his mouth. Let's see, what do we have here? Needless to say, I got my earbuds on. That's funny. Breitbart update. Biden 119, Trump 89. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? I just saw it was too early. It's called too early for Biden. Maurice says mostly because you can count all the folks that are still totally unaware of it even now. What are we talking about? The Biden scandal, Hunter Biden scandal? Banned an accelerationist techno-Walners. proper Baron Harkonnen. I know he does have that Baron Harkonnen vibe. He really, really does. He's an accelerationist. I love it, man. Cedar, you're totally on it. I'd still like to get drunk with him, though. Right? I'd still like to get drunk with Bannon. Let's see. What else do we have here? I've got scotch in hand. You can't go wrong with the Sag. I've had some of the best party times with my Sag buddies. Dogs, cats, and dead people still sending in their votes. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Beth Berry says Trump just took the lead in Texas, and rurals have yet to rally support. So we had a mayoral election here today in Fredericksburg. I didn't like any of the candidates. Do you know who I voted for? I voted for me. I wrote myself in. I know it's an ego thing, but I wrote myself in. About to pour a little Eureka Springs Irish Stout. Oh, that sounds quite good. Quite nice. Down home veggies, supper, collards, okra, tomatoes, rice. Good cooking there, cuz. Good cooking. Me too, Robert. Love myself. I got Jupiter and Sag, first house. Come on now. It went retrograde. Jupiter was in Capricorn and went retrograde. And I'm like, I'm getting some of that. I'm going to get some of that. I don't want to be born later. If I'm born a couple weeks later, I'm going to get that Jupiter and Capricorn. I'm not into that. Give me that Jupiter and Sag. It's retrograde. It's just gone direct. Let's go. Let's get it. I'm coming through. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And it's been an interesting ride, the old Jupiter and Sag. I tell you what, why don't we cruise around the internet a little bit more? Sometimes I like to see what Tim Pool is talking about. I think he's an interesting character. We'll come back to Bannon a bit later, and let's see what's going on with Tim Pool and what he has to say. Tim Pool has been unapologetically Trump all the way. Unapologetically Trump. Okay, so what is he? Is he not streaming live? Hold on, what's going on here? Is Tim Pool not streaming live? Oh, come on, Tim. Let's see what we got. So he's not streaming live. I have subscribed. What do I have to do to join? Do I have to pay you something? $4.99 a month. That's a nice little option. How do I get that? How do I get that on my channel? Let me go back. Let me go back to YouTube. Let me go to my homepage. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, yeah, Timcast is live. Come on. There we go. Here we go.
Advise that everybody say the rosary. At least try it if you've never done it before. Just look. Yeah, I'm serious. I think everyone should say.
Never done it.
Do you see this? Results may not be final. See the latest on Google. Do you see that? Do you see what they're doing there? Those sneaky bastards. Those sneaky bastards. Send feedback. I'll send you some feedback. Have feedback? Would love to hear it. Sure, I'll send you some feedback. Screenshot loading. Come on, screenshot. Load it up. Load it up. They're talking about the miracle of Fatima anyway. All right, let's cancel that. Let's go back to these guys. Here we go.
New guests. Which one should we start with? We have Carrie and we have Andrew from Don't Walk Run. Which one who wants to talk first? Andrew likes to talk. Let's switch to Andrew.
How dare you?
It's true, and you know it. I love Andrew. Let me zoom out on his camera a little bit there,
Oh,
though. But
boy.
take it away, man.
Okay. I was just looking at Twitter, and
Oh no.
and everybody is yelling at Fox News because they basically called Virginia and it looks like Trump is leading by 300,000 votes.
Oh my
wow.
god!
So they're like Fox News is the worst, and it's like
No, they're not.
well,
Dude, they were saying
they
the
are
same
tonight.
thing. Well, in 2016, they were saying the same thing. Didn't Fox call it for Pennsylvania earlier on, and people lost their minds, but then Trump actually won it?
I don't know, man. I don't remember that, but I have to say that's.
Why do they call it so early? Because they want to be the first?
No, I think that they just
It
looked
does
at the
seem
data.
So when I see these guys, I'm hoping that all young men across the planet are sort of developing along these lines so that no real ass kickers are sort of out there and smelling blood in the water. I'm really hoping that they're all kind of developing along the same line so that they all kind of like, don't get into any weird kinds of hierarchies, social orders, pecking orders. I gotta tell you, these guys don't stand a fucking chance. Let's be honest about that. Let's just hope that they're developing kind of across the board in a similar fashion. Let's hear what I have to say.
What's
and
going on?
I think they just looked at the data, and that's how they made their appraisal, and it's clearly. I mean, they're saying North Carolina was leaning Biden, but it now might be leaning towards Trump.
That's why they made it gray again.
People are also saying, "Oh, Texas is in play. Like Biden's going to take Texas."
Texas
I'm like,
is not in play.
I
guys.
honestly, I do not see
Well,
that. How
I
about you?
just-
What do you think?
Well,
She's from
I'm in
Texas,
Texas.
yeah.
And
Oh, what have you noticed?
well, I just got a text from my
no.
boyfriend that it looks like Williamson County might be going blue.
Oh my
Which Williamson County,
gosh.
if you guys aren't familiar, it's a little bit north of Austin, and it's been red for a while.
So Williamson County has had a massive influx of immigrants. They brought a lot of people from places like Somalia into Williamson County. It's also a big tech county. That's where Dell Computers is. So it doesn't surprise me that Williamson would be blue.
And I've been noticing just in the short time I've been there that it's changing. And so
It's leakage from
Yes.
Austin.
Yes, there's a lot of social justice, even on the local level. Those are some of the elections I'm actually more invested in at the moment. Like my city council, we have social justice people pushing diversity, inclusion, equity committees
In
at the
city,
local
right?
level. Yes,
Yeah, you were
and
telling
doing
me
these
about
sort
that.
of witch hunts at the school board meetings where they bring in students to accuse faculty members and school board members
man.
of being
What the
racist
heck?
on
This has been going on for a while in Williamson County. It started a few years ago when a teacher was outed. I think it was in Round Rock, if I'm not mistaken, and she was outed for, quote unquote, being a racist, and she lost her job. She lost her job. So this is how it works, right? They will get people into school boards, and they'll get them into city councils, and they'll start to flip these little communities. And this is where the indoctrination, the programming, and the bullying takes place. Let's keep
on
going.
Zoom calls.
That's
Where they're-
horrible.
So, but they have an agenda and they're planning all this out. So I've seen this happening around me in my small town. And so, yeah, I have been a little worried, I guess, about Texas.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean,
Awful.
it's not unthinkable that Texas would go blue because of all the people moving from California. We were
Yes.
discussing
I
this
think that's
earlier.
it.
So I really do believe it's in play. I hope Texas goes red. It going blue would be a game changer, but this is something people have been talking about for years. I mean, it's certainly
Yeah.
been increasingly possible for
Ted
that to happen.
Cruz certainly is very, very worried about it.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So I know I mentioned earlier that I know some progressives who voted for Trump
Yeah.
and who've never
Very cool.
voted
I
Republican.
love that so much.
And I know some progressives who are voting for Trump. This is an interesting way of thinking about it, but not because they care so much about whether he wins nationally, but because they want to send a message to Californians that Texas is not going to turn blue. Please don't come here anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
So they were like, I really want it to go red. So they
Yeah.
stopped coming.
So the Californians have totally fucked up Austin. They've totally fucked up Austin. They started fucking up Austin in the 90s. And it's, Austin has just turned into a city full of Karens. But, if you go into places like South Austin, you won't see that much of that. You get out to like the Oak Hill area, South Austin, Manchac. For the most part, people tend to be kind of more on the on bit on the rural side, or but the more you move into sort of the move into like South SoCo, and you get into the middle of Austin, it gets really, really progressive, like dipped in progressive purple, blue, cheap dip paint. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was doing I was at South by Southwest, and I was doing astrology readings for this company that hired me. So I was at one of these fancy furniture stores, and the people that came in it was kind of mind blowing. It was mostly women, of course, because they're going to want to get an astrology reading. But the men that I saw were so effeminate. It was really a trip. It was really, really a trip. And a lot of them were gay. Obviously, they were gay. And the ones that weren't gay were still very effeminate. It was very, very unusual. So the shape of Austin has really morphed over the last 10 years. And when I first went there in 1996, it was kind of kooky weird. It was kooky weird. It wasn't like trendy weird. It was kooky weird. And you can kind of see that in Days of Confused, and some of those other films that sort of portray the Linklater films that really kind of capture the zeitgeist of Austin. It was unusual. Freeman was there. Alex Jones was there. The Illuminati card game came out of there. So it was like freaky weird. But now it just got trendy weird, and people running around with trendy colored hair, and it's just like it was like this whole idea of keep Austin weird. They took it so seriously that it's like not even interesting anymore. Not even interesting. I knew Austin was lost because when the Tonight Show had an episode. Oh, was that the Tonight Show with Kimmel? Yeah. Austin full of zitty strung out college dropouts. Charlotte's book and video interviews are still out there. What else do we have? I'm a native Cali Gemini, Robert's last favorite. Oh, come on now. I love Geminis. Come on. I got a thing for Geminis. I got Gemini in my 7th house. It's like I hook up with the Gemini world. And Californians, hey, I spent most of my time in California. And there's a lot of good Californians. Unfortunately, their governor's a piece of shit. And the California state government's a piece of shit. And they've been that way for quite a long time. Even the Republicans there were pieces of shit. California has been like incredibly corrupt. It's just an amazingly corrupt state. Whether it's the mayors of San Francisco, the Brown family, who've been running California politics for years, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that guy was corrupt to the core. Schwarzenegger was brought into California to clean up the Enron mess. There was a meeting with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Kenneth Lay, and who else was there? Some interesting people. Warren Buffett and Pete Wilson. Those 4 guys were all spotted together at a hotel, going into a hotel in Southern California prior to Schwarzenegger becoming governor. They had this big recall for Gray Davis. How often does a recall happen and actually work? Like rarely. And Gray Davis was a Democrat. So they went after him because Gray Davis knew where the bodies were buried. He knew where the bodies were buried with Enron. And Pete Wilson, who's a piece of shit, a total piece of shit, corrupt piece of shit, sold California out to Enron, rolling blackouts, brutal, absolutely brutal. And Schwarzenegger was brought in specifically to basically be the cleaner. That's what he was. And he was not a Republican. He was not a conservative. He oversaw the construction of the Bay Bridge, and they outsourced the construction of the Bay Bridge to China. That tells you everything you need to know about Arnold. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool globalist Schwarzenegger. Boys in Cali are major femme. My brother's there. Hey, what's going on? From the Philippines. Welcome to the show. Jennifer Rubin, one of our favorite Californians, in the house. Let's see. What do we have here? Lynn, at this point, I think Europeans are voting for Biden. I don't know. I think Joan's sister, who Joan is, I think Joan might still be in the chat room. Her sister lives in Paris, and she's completely anti-Trump. She's about as liberal, socialist, and progressive as it gets, and she gets to vote. She has to fucking vote and vote for Biden, and she doesn't even live here. Okay, what's up with that? She gets to vote. She doesn't even live here. Like, that vote should be disqualified, as far as I'm concerned. New Jersey votes to legalize possession, use, and sale of marijuana. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of the legalization and sale of marijuana. You know why? Big business gets involved. It's a corporate deal. They're gonna elbow everybody out. It's bullshit. I think people should be allowed to grow, have a few plants, and if it's going to be dispensed, it should be medicinal. That's my feeling on it. I know a lot of you may depart or have different ideas, but I don't think it should be legalized, and for a number of reasons, but mostly because people like George Soros and Warren Buffett are the ones who are going to make the money off of it. Claire Guest, what's going on? Good to see you. Yep, Total Globalist lived there for 18 years. Seeker Vlog is in the house. California is going under in 2024. That's when the big eclipse happens. Yeah, European BBC media is so relentlessly center left. There's no way any casuals are voting red from over here. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. Legalization ruins small town families and economies. So I knew some growers, and Mary, you probably do as well. I knew some growers up in the Sonoma, Mendo region, and that region was doing just fine. And when they legalized, it ruined that area economically. Totally devastated Mendocino and Sonoma County economically. The growers were forced to remove all their plants and return the soil to its native state. And they were given 90 days to do so. And if they didn't return it to its native state within 90 days, they would get a $10,000 fine every day that it didn't comply or look like what it did before they started to actually have a cash crop business. It was the worst thing. The legalization was one of the worst things that ever happened to California. Period. End of story. Don't legalize it to criminals. I would agree with that. If Trump wins, I will migrate to the U.S. Well, we'll be here waiting for you. Let's see. Tons of hemp farms driving through Oregon. Oregon, it's legal. You can roll into Oregon and you can buy yourself. I had a little medicine in Oregon a few years ago. It's everywhere. I need a form from county. We're putting people in jail ruins lives. Totally. I vote for Sedona or the Village Oak Creek in Arizona. What else do we have here? Let's see. What else do we have? Shara Iserby discovered the term change agent used in education was communist. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that makes sense. Got arrested in Texas. Yeah, man. You don't want to get popped for pot in Texas. You don't want to do that. Although apparently Joe Rogan can get high in his studio. Brown, Getty, Newsom, Pelosi, crime families unsurprisingly run the PG&E too, along with the Rothschild family. That's a Rothschild utility, PG&E. All right, what else do we have here? Who wants G-cut funk? Yuck. Happy election day. Back in the day, I grew my own. Would you rather your sons drink alcohol or smoke weed? The answer to that is neither. I would prefer he do neither. And I think he's probably got a pretty good shot doing that. I don't think he's really interested in altering his consciousness in that way. Steve Mercer in the house. What's going on, Steve? What's happening? Good to see you. Let's see what else. How is Trump looking? Okay, why don't we so glad. Hi, Beverly. Nice to see you. welcome. Growers are being shut down in Northern California. Big ag are coming in, so you bet your ass they are. They're going to come in. They're going to run the whole damn show. And they're going to have their own personal brand of genetically modified soma. And that's their plan. That is their plan. Enix the Gamer. Well, hello, Enix the Gamer. Welcome. Let's go. Let's check out Bannon. Let's see what's happening with Bannon. All right, let me clear the cache with InfoWars. See what Alex has on. All right, Alex is rapping. Let's check in with Alex here for a minute. Let's see what the fat man says. Mods, be on your toes. Here we go.
I mean, the next 30 years. I mean, because if Trump gets in, they're going to blame him for everything and make a big deal and sabotage things and say it's his fault. Biden's handed this. It'll destroy.
But this is going to plan. I mean, then we have the whole great.
No, Satanists only think one move. They never think 10 moves ahead, or 50 moves ahead, or 1,000 moves ahead. They just Owen.
Well, I agree. I understand what you're saying because there's no way America takes Joe Biden on its knees. There's just no way. I just don't see how that. I mean, because here's what it comes down to. It's not just going to be people in media, or it's not just going to be the average American that's, a farmer or that's a worker. Secret Service knows about this guy. The military knows about this guy. And they know the whole world knows about this guy.
They know he's a Chi-Com agent.
And they know that America right now is on this tipping point, and just the slightest touch in either direction determines the fate. So Trump will still be president even if Biden wins tonight. And it'll be interesting to see what might happen with an investigation into Joe Biden in the coming 3 months, say.
Exactly, because he's so compromised. Let's get your lady's take on that. He is so compromised, so caught. They admit the laptop's real. How can you have him become president?
It's so disgusting.
Because they want a compromised guy. That's why they did this.
China cannot wait for Joe Biden to become president. Neither can Iran. They're looking forward to the pallets of cash being flown out on the private jets straight to them. They're ready to see America on her knees. And so they're very excited seeing some of these results coming in. But at what point would we, the people, the patriots of this country, say enough? When do we take to the streets and start busting out windows? And I don't think we're going to be looting stores, but I mean, when do we show up on the doorstep?
Well, our enemy in stores is George Soros, the Democrats.
Right.
So So Alex is already into the election theft mode, right? He's already there. He's already got the mindset, which is a little troubling in some ways, right? It's a little bit troubling. And so they're trying to figure out like what's going to happen if they pull this thing out. And I think it's really worth some intellectual power here to try to understand like what happens next. Let's go back to Bannon and the war room, and let's see what he's got cooking, and maybe we can get a better count on the vote count here. But it's looking like Biden is sort of out front with a lot of undetermined states at this point in time, and I'm a little concerned with what's going on theoretically in this selection process with Florida. So let's jump back in. Let's check in with the war room. Steve Bannon.
Problem with then Trump with the base, because the base is bigger than the Cindy McCain's, but it is 7%. So it's an issue, Steve. It's something that has to be addressed. You're right about that. There's just no doubt. The reason why he was remaining strong in Arizona with us is there is an independent voter. He's a man. He's typically 30, really 45 and above, but they're in their 30 to 44 range too. And they don't like Republicans. They don't vote Republican. And they may not even vote at all if Donald Trump's not on the ballot.
Hey,
He
Richard,
was stomping Biden with by 30 points with that group. Oh, go ahead.
Richard,
Go ahead.
I know you got to bounce. We're going to have you back in a few minutes. You become an audience favorite already. The place is packed. A live stream in China. You're becoming a global rock star tonight. And here's why. You do the hard work that other people will not do. You will grind through these numbers. The level of detail you've got in working through this stuff is just amazing. You're fantastic. Go take your break. We're going to get you back here to talk about North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Arizona, all of it. Thank you very much, sir. That is Richard Barris of
All
Big
the best,
Data Polling. And he's going to come out tonight. You're seeing the emergence of a new star. He got it right in 2016. He's a very humble guy. He just does the work. He's been grinding through this. He told us, Jack, exactly how Trump was going to win Florida. He's told us exactly what was going to happen in Georgia, exactly what was going to happen in Ohio and in North Carolina. It's all fallen into place tonight. We're going to have him back. I've got Raheem Kassam back from doing a number of hits. Midge, got Fog City Midge. The conscience of the war room, Jack Maxey, is with us. So, Raheem, I want to go to you to reset this, and then I want to hear from Maggie Vandenberg and from Jack Maxey.
Well, look, it's 9:47 on the East Coast, and this is the sort of time in the night where things get a little bit complicated. People start regretting some of the calls they've made. People start wanting to row back on certain things.
I'm sorry, Jasper.
Certain media organizations are reporting that Virginia may actually be in play and is not right to have been called.
I want to talk about that. Midge has been elbowing me in the ribs all night. What is going on? We just had one of our line producers over here freaking out, bringing up the iPad, saying, "Is Virginia been reversed? Is John Fredericks the oracle of the deplorables, who has been talking smack about the deplorables turning out in droves and going to win Virginia?" And I dismissed him the other day. I said, "Hey, it's a 4 or 5 point stone cold loser, and I'm from the Commonwealth. I'm a native son." So what's going on? CNN reverse it?
So, CNN has not called it. Last I checked a couple minutes ago, they're still not calling Virginia. And Fox News is acknowledging that they called Virginia early, but they believe they are confident in their call. They're standing behind it. But yeah, it's some strange things going on with CNN calling some states, not calling others. Fox News still not calling
hedging,
Florida.
Okay, at this point in the night, it's called hedging. They don't want to look silly. But the problem is they've already made some calls, and maybe they shouldn't have made them. But that's where we are at the moment.
What I want to try to do is we want to try to get access. We ought to talk to John Fredericks. He's the number one guy. Maybe I'll text him and get him on the show. But that's massive, particularly if you got to reverse a call in Virginia. And Virginia is not a purple state anymore. Virginia is a blue state.
Right.
But Northern Virginia is really the District of Columbia, all the way down to Fredericksburg. And so it just can't overcome that. And they called it for Mark Warner early in the evening. So if Trump is reversing this, you're seeing the beginning of a new coalition, even to make it competitive. You're seeing what President Trump's able to bring as a deplorable step up today. What else you got, Midge?
We've already covered that. That's what I've got.
Okay, good. Jack, you got anything for us? You got any big picture stuff you want to?
Well, Vish just sent us something. The yuan is tanking right now, apparently, watching the election returns. Thank you.
Boom! I want to get all the folks at GTV and G News. It better tank. They're seeing another Donald Trump presidency on the horizon, correct?
Yes, they are.
I got to tell you.
And Ohio is basically
around the world.
We are so proud of the fact that we're doing this for the first time. You've got free Chinese from the diaspora here right next to us. You got GTV and G News that have been all over this campaign from day one. These are Chinese that have left mainland China fighting for their freedom. They're here overseeing the Capitol tonight, having their own broadcast. They're over at the W Hotel. They've been bringing people in all night long. What do we got here?
We should get a break. We need a break. There has to be a break. We need a break before the 10 p.m. results start coming in, and we got a couple of things to roll through.
We want to take a.
All right, so I'm going to move away from Bannon and the war room. So they're sounding quite optimistic. It's very interesting, right? You got Bannon sounding optimistic. Alex is kind of freaking out. Like the mood on InfoWars, not so optimistic. The mood on the war room with Steve Bannon, and apparently he stole Alex Jones's name for the war room. They're feeling a little more optimistic, a little confident. So we'll bounce back and forth between those realities. Everything Bannon covers is true, but it's what he leaves out that's important. That's really funny. That is really funny. Yeah. So let's let's get the spray out. Let's get the disinfectant. Let's get the disinfectant. Hurrah for the free Chinese diaspora. No, no one mentioned the Falun Gong shuffle. I think Bannon talked about the Falun Gong thing. Isn't Epic Times connected to Falun Gong? Oh, man, I have to sleep. And man, you may as well go to sleep. This shit's going to be going on until 2, 3 in the morning. I'm telling you right now. 2, 3 in the morning. Yes, at the end, we will be in a golden age. Absolutely. We may have to go through 300 yards of shit in order to get there, but it'll happen. It'll definitely happen. Yeah, we got some kick-ass mods. Some states count mail before votes in person. My money is on Bannon. Yeah, I think Bannon's sharp. Bannon sharp. I like Steve Bannon. Always have. All right, so I'm going to try and do something here. Let me see if we can do this. I am going to see if I can. Let me try this. I've been wanting to play with this for a while, and let me see if I can figure this thing out. Okay, hold on. Where are we? Where are we? I'm going to try and get. I'm going to try and pull Skype up here, and see if I can get you guys to call in if you feel like it. Let's see if that'll happen. All right, so let me see if I can get this on the link. Wanted to play with this for a while. See if we can figure this thing out. Yeah, I think it's going to happen. Okay, so why don't we do this? I'm going to give you guys a number to call here. Okay, I'm gonna put it into the chat right here. And we're gonna do. I'm gonna do two things. If you wanna come into the show, maybe Bannon is cute. People have mentioned that. So this is my my Skype name right here, right there. If you want to Skype me and get on the air, I think we could do that. If you don't have Skype, I hope Kanye wins. I think 2024 is Kanye's year. Or 2028. And then I'm going to give you guys my my Skype number. So if you want to call in, let's see if we can make this happen. Let's see if we can make this happen. So here's my Skype number. And I'm probably going to remove the chat after this show, by the way. FYI. All right. So if you guys want to see if you can Skype in with my Skype ID or call, let's see what happens. You want to get on the air, you want to talk, you want to get into tonight, what's happening. Let's see if we can hook this thing up. Okay? Why not? Why not? Let's see what we have here. Ah, we got a call. Yeah. I got to figure out how to get you. Try that again. Try it again. I gotta figure this thing out here. This is the first time I've hold on. We're getting there. We're getting there. Normally, I just pop it. Here we go. Hello. All right, we got a connection. All right, let me see if I can hook you up with StreamYard. Let's try this out. It's the first time I feel like Thomas Edison or some shit like that. Okay, so let me go back to chat. Can you guys hear this? Oh, where'd it go? Can you guys?
I'm still here.
Okay, okay, let me check in with chat.
Okay.
I'm actually hearing myself. Hold on.
Okay.
Who is this, by the way?
Oh, I'm Sharon, and I listen to. I'm sometimes on the Kev Baker show on TFR, and I go as Nano Girl.
Okay.
So, and I listen to your show every single morning, and you and I have been following each other location-wise for years.
Really?
Because yes, I lived in Austin, Texas for 3 years. I live in the Bay Area. We lived in a lot of the same places. Although you were more in North Bay, I was more Los Gatos, San Jose. But when you talk about everything, it's like it's kind of weird. It's like we've just sort of been in a lot of the same places. And I listen to your show every morning. I love your show. So anyway, it's great to call you and talk to you. Awesome.
Well, thanks, and thanks for calling up. I'm hearing a little bit of an echo, so I hope it's not too distracting for people. Where are you now? Which part of the country are you in now, or even are you in this country?
I am in this country. I'm living in California. I moved from Los Gatos, and I'm living over in Monterey County right now.
Okay, how's it going out there for you?
Oh God, we have Mussolini, and we're in the purple, so we're in major lockdown.
Okay. Yeah. How are you coping with that?
I'm doing pretty good. I live by myself, and it's up and down, but I'm doing pretty good. I'd say I'm doing pretty good. I live in a little tiny place where lots of us don't wear masks during the day, so I can take walks and I'll see people without masks. We don't have police officers that are, really hardcore here because I live in a little area called Marina, and Marina is a really tiny little place. So it's very laid back.
Right.
So it's not in Monterey, it's not in Carmel, but so I'm very blessed, and I'm about walking distance from the beach, which saves me because I go there a lot. So that's what saves me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
And listening to shows like yours, and kind of doing the guest show on Kev Baker, and stuff. And by the way, I sing your praises. I talked about you today on the Kev Baker show.
Oh, okay. Who is Kev Baker? I'm not. I've heard of him. What does Kev Baker do?
So he's on True Frequency Radio. He has a show on pretty much every single day. And he loves to talk about woo-woo stuff, and he likes to do a little bit of politics. And so I've been going on a show almost 5 years. And I'm just someone that just pops up, and I like to talk about technology and things like that. So that's why I call myself Nano Girl.
What do you do for a living? Can I ask?
Yeah, I work in the tech sector,
You're in the
and
tech
so
sector.
I'm all about tech.
Okay.
And that's my thing. I love tech.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
Well,
Yep, that's kind of what I do. So what I love the most about you is the way that you put all the trends together
Mhm.
and the way that you roll things out and the way you look at things, because that's a lot how I look at things. And that's why it's so interesting to sort of follow you. You know what I mean? From a sense of listening to you a lot.
Right.
And you help me put some things together so I don't fall off the cliff. So I just the main reason I wanted to call was my heart is beating, but I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, my pleasure. And when's your birthday? When's your birthday?
Oh, I'm October 2nd.
So you're a
And
Libra, yeah.
I'm a Libra, yeah, and I was born like morning time in Norfolk, Virginia.
Right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
how do you feel about what's going on tonight? What's your vibe?
Actually, it's a lot more positive than kind of what you were saying. I mean, I feel like we actually did a political show today. I feel like we're going in the right direction, whatever that means. And I think Trump is probably going to make it, maybe by the skin of his teeth, and maybe might not tonight. But I think somehow he's going to make it. And, you showed that picture this morning of the Air Force One landing in that sunset.
It's pretty spectacular, right?
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
And then you talked about Trump's chart. And then you were also, you also talked the last couple of days, this is what I mentioned on the Kev Baker show, is how maybe there'll be a way that this rolls out tonight that Biden just says, okay, I lost. Maybe that will happen somehow. And that was what I mentioned on the show today. So you and Joni Petrie are my two favorite astrologers. I love you two both. She does the Vedic,
Right.
and then what you do. And so I just love to talk about all that stuff. So.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I think it would have to be pretty overwhelming that Trump was gonna just completely steamroll this thing for Biden to just kind of concede. And the more that excuse me, that I've heard out of his campaign manager, probably the less likely that that's going to happen. But we're not really looking at a lot of the insanity and anarchy that might have been possibly on the table, even before the election. Of course, if Trump does win, we're going to see what's going to happen. But I'm glad that you have a nice, even, balanced kind of Libran perspective there. So, well, thanks for calling in, and thanks for being a listener. And you live in one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And so just enjoy your time and enjoy your stay there, and bond with your little micro community. And there's strength in numbers, even if they're small numbers. So yeah. Well,
and thank you, Robert, for all that you do, and thank you for the time you put in every morning. You are, it's funny. You probably never know who's listening to you, right?
Yeah.
And so I mostly just wanted to say thank you, because you help me stay sane. You're my morning coffee.
I'm the morning coffee. All right, I like that. Cool, excellent.
I'll let you go.
Have a great night. Okay.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Well, for a first call, that was sweet, huh? That was a good first call. Let's stop the share there. Okay, so some other people tried to call in. Lines are open now. Lines are open west of the Rockies. Okay. Hello. Hello, who's this? Hey, Greg. Welcome to the show, Greg. How are you? Right on. I'm good, man. I'm really good. So let me click in here because I got to share your audio with everybody. You and I are just having a private conversation at the moment.
Okay.
But now you are live. So welcome. So how what's the vibe like in Pennsylvania, Greg?
So I went to vote today. It was pretty normal, which is kind of typical for the town that I live in. There's not really much commotion. There's not a lot of crazy activity like in Philadelphia, which is only about maybe 30 minutes away from me. So,
Where are you? What town are you in Pennsylvania again?
Delaware County.
Delaware County. So I go out to Newtown every now and then, Bucks County, and Ryan, introspective woodworker, and Jacqueline, JP, they're kind of from that area. They're in chat as well. So it's pretty quiet out there tonight. Is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty quiet for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's really not much. It's just like a typical day, but I do have to say I'm completely picking up on some kind of energy tonight. I don't know if it's this Mercury stationing or the collective conscious. Maybe I just really feel kind of like nervous and.
Yeah, man, it's kind of in the air. It's kind of in the air. I mean, I can feel it too. There's something unsettling, sort of swirling around. I go back to Steve Bannon every now and then, and he's like my scotch on the rocks, figuratively speaking. But I can feel it too. And we are in Mercury Station, so we're in this kind of void space right now. It's almost like when the moon goes void of course, Mercury sort of void of course. We're in this kind of really interesting, kind of free floating kind of space, and sometimes there can be anxiety that can be associated with something like that. So do you have feelings or premonitions that you pick up on when it comes to your life or kind of things that happen in the world?
Absolutely, 100%. So with the coronavirus in November of 2019, I took a nap on my couch, and I just had this really intense dream where I actually kind of stepped out of my body, opened my front door, and looked in the direction. Actually, I checked on the compass on my phone. I looked in the direction of China, but in this specific dream, like I had a really bad cough. Like I felt like I was gonna die.
Wow.
And I was just looking in the direction of and when I woke up from it, it kind of really took me aback. And I said to myself, I said, something is coming. Something is really going to change here. Also, January 1st, when I woke up that morning, it was 2020, and I just really, really felt it really strong. And I just said to myself, everything this year is going to change.
Yeah.
Everything about our lives is really going to take a big turn in some direction. I wasn't sure what it was, but I could just feel it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you were spot on. How old are you, Greg?
I'm 32.
32. So you're like a classic millennial. Really, you're kind of right in the center of millennialism or millennial land. How does it feel to be a millennial, and what does that mean to you anyway?
It feels interesting. I would say I'm not the typical millennial. I joined the Marine Corps. I did some time in the reserves, and then I got an associate's degree, which was paid for by the military. And right now I'm a power plant operator.
Yeah. So
I feel like I've been kind of on the outside almost my entire life. Like even I remember in elementary school when Pokemon cards were really popular. I just wasn't into it at all.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of been somewhat on the outside, and that's been the theme of my life. So how does it feel to be a millennial? I can't really say because I don't know if I'd.
So when people talk about millennials and they badmouth millennials, and we have Lee Guest is a friend of the show, and she's got her anthem to millennials, fuck your feelings. This is kind of a group that your generation is associated with, and if you're outside of that, if you're detached from that, then it probably doesn't affect you all that much. But how do you see that from the outside looking in?
Yeah, for sure. What I see going on is pretty disturbing. If you look at the economic outlook for most people my age is really not that great compared to our parents.
That's right.
If you think about it, the baby boomer generation, had much more opportunity than we do, I guess. It was something like maybe 16 hours of work would buy you one share in a Dow in like something like 1975.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's ridiculous. It's like 150 hours of work buys you one share, which is about 28,000 something right now.
Yeah.
So there's this big economic disparity that I feel like a lot of people are going through. And maybe another reason why I feel like I'm on the outside is because I've been able to get myself a pretty good job and I don't have student debt. But I feel fortunate for sure. But
so you've done a pretty good job of navigating your life. Are you married? Do you have kids? Where are you with that?
I actually just got married.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no kids. But we're planning on having kids.
Good.
So.
Good. Have lots of them. I wanted to have.
Yeah. Well,
I wanted to have more, and I got one out of the deal. But looking back on it, I think it would have been cool to have maybe more than one kid. Maybe not with the same maybe not with the same person, but more than one kid. But yeah, so you do plan on having kids.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing you were saying is maybe 2021 is the year, as you were alluding to earlier, one of your shows. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're in this thing for a long haul, and at the event here in Texas, I basically looked at 2030 moving backwards. We're in a 10-year stretch now. We're in a 10-year cycle, and the end of this cycle is 10 years out from now. Where I really believe that we're going to be at the very end of the Kali Yuga. So we've got some time, to and some distance, whatever that is at this point, to cover. I'm thinking of like, how John Lear. Oh, he dropped off. Did you drop off? He dropped off. Darn it.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
I was thinking of how John Lear, talked about being able to, instead of going from point A to point B, right? Like folding the space in between. So even though, we're 10 years out from 2010, maybe we could have that kind of quantum moment, where we can actually fold the space between now and then, and we could close that gap. And so we don't have to have like this 10-year sort of purgatory that we're going to be experiencing or potentially experiencing. So that's something to think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So
absolutely. If you look at Cliff High's work, looks like he was about 4 years off from his 2016 predictions.
Mm-hmm.
He's also been talking about how, basically the sun might be entering grand solar minimum.
Mm-hmm.
There's this big influx of cosmic energy onto the earth. It's making everybody kind of wonky, which I feel like is really resonates with me. That makes sense.
Yep.
So who knows? Maybe like you're saying, there's some kind of quantum shift happening that nobody alive today has ever been to. Maybe the last time it happened was hundreds or thousands of years ago. Maybe it's a cycle that we just,
Yep.
There's no 300-year-old person who's gone through this.
Well, there might be some people out there that are thousands of years old. And they may know exactly what's going on. So what's your sign, Greg? Before we sign off here, what's your astrological sign?
So I was born in February, so I'd be an Aquarius.
Yeah, I was going to say you were probably Aquarius because of the detachment piece. Keep going.
Yeah, and then my Vedic chart says I'm a Taurus ascendant. I forget what the other ones are, but yeah. So February 5th. So
February 5th. Yeah, I think you sound like an Aquarian. You sound like an Aquarian to me. Being outside of the fads and the trends, and sort of charting your own course. That's very Aquarian. The road less traveled. Greg, thank you for calling in, man. And I guess you must listen to the show or tap in every now and then because you're here. And if you do, thank you for that, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure to talk to you.
All right, take care, brother. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Okay, it's our friend Greg. There we go. That means there's a phone line open right now. Oh, the calls are coming in hot and heavy. Hot and heavy. Oh, not only do we have a call, we got a video. We got a special guest in the house. There he is.
Hey, Robert.
Dr. Miyagawa.
I rarely drink, but I cracked a Sapporo for tonight.
All right. Dr. Miyagawa in the house.
Yeah, I just sent out, it's not the live mix from the night at the end of the hills, but I looked at my playlist.
It was totally hot. I got to bring you back in here and make sure I got the audio with you. Hold on. And you've kind of frozen up on my screen. You're in a very sort of peaceful, meditative kind of pose. Okay, so you're not moving.
Should I call back in?
Why don't you do that? I'll keep this open. You call right back in. Okay, let's interact. All right, we're gonna. All right.
All right.
We made the connection.
All right. So
We made the connection. All right, let me see what we got here. And there he is. Can you guys see and hear Masaki? And Ani just rolled the joint. Right on, Ani. Have a hit for me. I hate wasabi. Sapporo, yum. So, Masaki, what's going on back there, man?
the vibe, I just saw Emily a couple of years ago. The vibe in LA, it's strangely, I think there's tension, but you don't see much on the street. The real battle starts tomorrow, right, Robert?
Yeah.
And everything.
Yep. Tomorrow, Mercury goes direct, and the forces of forward movement begin to accumulate some momentum. So I was talking with one of my clients last night, and I was talking about you. I was singing your praises and how great you were at the event, and I said to myself, you know what? When I grow up, what did I say? I said, when I grow up, I want to be like Masaki. That's what I said.
Well, you know, Robert, I think besides the event being great, you kind of set things up for us to hit it out of the park. So I didn't have any trouble with it, but you know, I think it's the first time I did a public talk, and then actually that was easy. But the kind of mixer later that night, I looked at the crowd. I said, "Can I pull this off?" And I think people were dancing for 2 or 3 hours. So.
Well, I mean, I think you kicked it. I think it was so. For me, at that point, I had my sort of Mercury retrograde moment where I had left the cord that connected the two speakers. So I had to drive all the way back to Fredericksburg to go get that cord. And I think it worked out okay, although I think Hope was a little bummed that I didn't get to see her play. But yeah, so once we hooked that up and you got going, it was really cool, man. It was very cool. We had with the light machine going on, and it was a good experience. And the thing I liked about it this year is we kept it all in house. You know, we didn't have to go out and rent anything, and then you were able to wear a couple different hats. And so, where can people find that mix?
It's up on my Patreon. I made it a public post, so it's patreon.com pyramid power. You can find it on there. I sent the link to the email group, but
okay,
people can, if you're watching this, patreon.com / pyramid power.
Yeah,
it's the first post right now. So
okay, cool. So the vibe in LA, kind of, is there a little tension in the air there?
It's probably the whole country, but you know what was interesting? I talked to the assistant of young Hollywood pop star and gay assistant.
Right. Whose name
told me
whose name rhymes with chill. Right.
Right. So told me I think Trump's gonna win. I talked to another. This is the gays are telling me in LA. Talk to another guy.
Oh, so you got the gay psychic hotline in LA.
Hey, the the liberals out here, I think some of them that are paying attention. I mean, look at you talked about it, Robert. Have you ever seen such a fervor around a presidential candidate?
I've never
like this?
seen anything like this with any individual, presidential or otherwise. Never. 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 You know,
Because now I don't want to say this in a bad sense, but it's a cult. Because this is a cult of personality.
It is.
It's Trump. And so I texted you I was just, I look around the internets and there's this thing, the Trump dance. They play YMCA at every Trump event, and he does this little dance. So there's a thing where people are doing their version of the Trump dance.
right.
So I was looking, and you know what blows my mind? There's a lot of people outside the U.S. that are fervent QAnon and Trump people, which is weird because it's an American election, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I found a Canadian Trumper. She was wearing the MAGA hat, and she was singing the American national anthem today. So it's like, at the end of the day, I mean, anything could happen, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to go back and forth, and Trump's going to win a contested election. I just don't see, because I think that the outpouring is greater than 2016. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if anything, it looks like it's. I don't want to put a number to it, but it's far exceeds 2016. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. It's like you'd have to combine Elvis, the Beatles, and Pope John Paul and put it all into one kind of package. And that's what I've seen over the last 2 weeks. And this is independent of when the guy shows up. I mean, there are people just driving down the road, with convoys and flags. I mean, it's all kind of happened, I think, fairly spontaneously, right? I mean, these are like these points of strange attraction that are all kind of coming together.
Well, what does it tell you when we're having noticeable Trump rallies in California? Because they're, Orange County is a hotbed, but like they had one in Beverly Hills. So it's like when you're having Trump rallies in California, that's a sign.
Yeah, that is a sign. So, wow. Okay. Well, I was looking at the Consciousness Project. You know that thing?
Oh, is it the one that it's a random number generators thing, and they could show peaks of?
Yeah, it's spiking really high. It has been spiking really high for the last 72 hours. And it's the same kind of anomaly that they witnessed before 9/11. Like, so, yeah, the Consciousness Project was kind of ahead of the curve with 9/11.
Well, I had also texted you about, what do you think about the idea that, they had all of these beheadings and terrorist events in Europe, especially France, right before their lockdown. Are we circling back to what Ole Damagard was saying originally? Supposedly, according to his timeline, there was supposed to be a mega 9/11 event last fall in 2019.
Yeah, he talked about that. Yeah.
It didn't work out, but it was supposed to be like 40 9/11s, terrorist, incidents with a virus on top of it.
Right. He said he actually had a hand in stopping that, which, I believe. I think Ole has that kind of presence and spirit, and that guy's connected. So I don't doubt that claim. Possibly, what I feel like, and I talked about this, I think today or yesterday, is that the energy of the virus is running out. It's running out. It's dissipating. So what they've done now, because the virus was the invisible existential terror threat, so now they brought back the visceral physical terror threat. So that's going to keep people in their homes, and then they'll come over the top with the virus, right? And maybe second, third, whatever they cook up. So I think that's what's happening, because when people get to this point where they're getting restless and they want to bust out, they want to protest, there's usually an event that alters that energy. And we saw it easily with the coronavirus coming into the year. Then we saw it with the George Floyd event. And then as people began to kind of get their feet under them, now this weird next wave and all this bullshit. So they just keep changing the parameters of the experiment so that people can't gain any momentum and can't get their feet under them. and wouldn't surprise me if something major is kind of in the wings, next 72 hours.
Well, what do you think about the idea that Trump is the figure that's ushering in the Aquarian age? Because 2017, right? He's looking up at the eclipse.
Yeah.
And then we go into was it like 7 years of underworld or something like that?
Yeah.
We come out in 2024, but Trump literally has a Sun conjunct Uranus, which is Aquarian energy.
It's Aquarian energy.
He's the one that's overturning everything. And so is it December 21st, 2020 this year?
Super conjunction. Yep.
That's when we pass through, and from here forward, the Pisces energies are no longer dominant, right? It's like 49% Pisces, and then we're moving into Aquarian energies every day forward, start to dominate. So I think, whatever people think of Trump, whatever he really is pretty obvious. Like him sitting over this gate, there's something going on around that.
Well, he's a massive disruptor, and that's always part of what he's done. And he brought this, disruptive energy, to this position that he's in. And, I've always been a Uranian fan. I love Uranus. I think it's one of my favorite planets. So I got it. I dug it. I was totally into it. There's a time where you kind of have to, at some point, kind of shift back into a bit of a Saturnian mode. And he's going to be going into the Saturn opposition. So if he gets in and he has another 4 years, he's going to have to change. Like that's part of the Saturn opposition. So I think what will probably happen is that we'll see less disruption, because if that's the program he's been running for the last 30 years, since he was 44 during the last Saturn opposition, that's going to change. So you may see a much more steady version of Donald Trump, dare I say a patrician version of Donald Trump in the next 4 years with this Saturn opposition. I don't think it's out of the question. So, yeah, but he's got to get through. Right now, this is the gauntlet, right? This is the gauntlet. And I think however this thing unfolds, we are moving into a different universe. It doesn't matter whether it's Trump or whether it's Biden. We're moving into a different universe. And our reality is not going to be the same, even if it's a causal effect or reactionary reality to what's going on with Biden and in the Biden regime. So, this is it. We're in a very interesting, pivotal, almost toroidal, kind of a toroidal time here.
Well, I was mentioning to Emily this afternoon, because we were talking about the music stuff and DJs, and I was saying that although I know better, I shouldn't try to enter conversations where there's going to be no good outcome. But sometimes I poke my head around in the internets, and there's I've noticed, some people, they can be extremely talented producers, artists, music producers. For the old age, they were running things.
Yep.
But the people that know how to run the new playing board is few. And, it doesn't matter how talented they were, because, it's just, you have to be an oddball to be in our area. And it's kind of like oddballs, the fringe people, which is Aquarius, right?
Right.
It's kind of the fringe. Now the fringe is actually coming to the center. So that's kind of like what I'm seeing. And to me, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow that I know a lot of people that they're good people, they're very talented, but they just have no handle on what this is. And we don't really understand it all, but at least we have a general direction of where to point ourselves.
Yeah, I've been hacking away at this thing for, in this environment for 10 years. And I've been hacking away at it really most of my life. Just try to figure out how to be in this world, and survive and not go insane. And I've come to the conclusion that the key to it all is being able to really connect with somebody on a personal level. And I'm not even sure how I can quantify that, but I had this conversation with this guy yesterday at O'Reilly Auto Parts. and his name was Rex. I loved his name, Rex. And I've got some issues with my truck, and he came out, and at first I could tell, well, I'm not allowed to get in the truck, and so now he's got all these rules to to stick the meter up there. So I stuck it up there, and we started talking. And by the time it was all over, he wanted to know if I was retired, if I I used to live in Austin. Why did but he was all friendly about it. And he said, "Well, I'm a Vietnam War vet," and I'm like, "Well, dude, I know where to come when the shit hits the fan. I'm gonna come find you." He says, "Well, just bring some food and water and ammo. You'll be just fine." But I think that there's that kind of what did Castaneda call it? He called it the assemblage point. And if we can reach each other through the assemblage point and have almost instant communication in a very short period of time, we can get on really, really well, and we can accelerate our human affairs. And we don't have to have a lot of friction or fiction or history in order to establish that. And I think, to me, that's where it's at. And that's kind of what I've come to be able to connect in as quickly as I can with another individual, in cutting through a lot of layers of, I don't know, synapse kind of wiring. And when that happens, I really feel like we're in that Aquarian element. We're in that Aquarian vibe where we just kind of get each other automatically. And we start communicating from that point, right? And there may be formalities about prehistory or, maybe tendencies or things that a person likes, but you're already there, right? The person is open, accessible, you're open, accessible, and we're there. So we can accelerate this thing very quickly and move forward without a lot of friction and tension. I think that's where it's headed. And sometimes it's not always all that sexy. Like we think of things in terms of group telepathy and group mind. And, I think those things are cool and doable, but really just connecting in, right? And hitting that assemblage point.
Well, Robert, I don't know if there's like a name for this, but like the 4chan, when they want to like just crack the code.
Yep.
And they want to basically dox somebody, but they're trying to they're trying to reach an objective, right? It's almost like Bitcoin mining. When you have a group and everybody's minds is on the singular thing, whatever they're doing is far superior to any intelligence agency.
Oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely. Because they're doing shit like, wow, FBI just turning your badges at this point, right? But I look at what's happening with you and me here and people in the chat room, and the Kev Baker thing that came up earlier, all these other environments. So we're all kind of communicating constantly, simultaneously, in all these different sort of little portals, right? But it's all happening at the same time. And there's something there. There's something that's being worked out and developed.
I think this is one of the reasons they locked down. And what they're trying to do, it's not going to work, because Aquarius is like that water that just flows out. There's going to be a lot of people that get sucked into this like safe world, the safely constructed world. But it's like you're saying, everything's moving so quick. The ideas bounce. It's the air sign. Of course, it's the air sign. The ideas are like boop. I think they knew that 2020 is a gateway.
Absolutely, absolutely.
They wanted to lock it down because they know from here things go exponential. And if you don't try to lock it down, well, you lost it anyway. So
this goes back to what I was talking about with the cycles of Saturn. And every time Saturn has come up in Aquarius, they have fucking hijacked the moment, right? So when Kennedy gets taken out, Saturn is in Aquarius. And we were headed in a really nice direction. Great path with Kennedy, Astroglide. It was really going to be something special. And then, bang, he's gone. And who takes over? George Bush and Lyndon Johnson. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So then, Saturn in Aquarius rolls around again. When does it pop up? It pops up in, guess what? The beginning of the New World Order, 1,000 points of light, Iraq War. There's George Bush, motherfucker, again, hijacking the moment again. Right.
So JFK, he was a Gemini, right?
That's right.
George Bush Sr., he's a Gemini.
And Trump's a Gemini.
There's something going on.
There's a whole Gemini thing. I've run this through from the death of JFK to Donald Trump with George Bush in the middle. There is this whole Gemini effect, and it gets freaky. You get the Twin Towers, you get the two Georges, You get Larry Silverstein, who's a Gemini. Rudy Giuliani's a Gemini. Donald Trump's a Gemini. Then there's that weird kind of scene where Rudy Giuliani's dressed up in Marilyn Monroe as drag, and Trump's feeling him up and kissing him. Like the whole thing just gets like full tilt, man. That was a terror attack. That was Jasper. That was Jasper, the Uranian cat. Misaki, man. Sorry about that. That was Jasper. He jumped in. He jumped. Misaki, I'm gonna take another call. I mean, I could talk to you all night. So, and I know you're there. So let's get another call. Come on in. Let's see, who do we got? I'm gonna open Skype. This is so much fun. Let me get Skype back up. Apparently, it went away. Jasper, you rascal. Jasper. Few technical difficulties, but we shall overcome. All right, let's bring Daniel in. There he is. How are you, young man?
I'm good. Very happy to get through. Very happy to get through. Popular live stream, and I must say, to see you pop on a couple hours ago, unexpectedly, because I didn't know if you were coming on or not, was an absolute treat.
Well,
so very grateful.
It helps me deal a little bit with my edginess and trying to work through these interesting moments of being a human in this domain. So this is kind of like I don't know, sucking my thumb or something in some ways, right? To be able to navigate through this. So how are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm feeling good. I mean, positive developments. I'm obviously on the fence on whether this whole thing's real or not. Now, I was going to say if Trump didn't win this election, and we don't know that yet,
right?
I was done with voting for the rest of my life.
Well, I think look, I haven't voted for years. The first time I voted
same
was when I was 18 years old. The first time I was legally able to vote, and it was when Ronald Reagan was so I think it was 1980. It was 1980. I was 20, and Reagan was running against Carter. I didn't like Carter. Was not a big Reagan fan. So my choices for president were quite narrow, and I voted for a guy by the name of Lyndon LaRouche. And I didn't know who he was, but that guy was going to get my vote. Little did I know that later on in my life, that Lyndon LaRouche was actually the perfect candidate for me. Believe it or not, he was one of these guys. He was a conspiracy theorist. And
Who did he run against?
He ran against Reagan and Carter. If
okay.
you guys ever want to go down an interesting rabbit hole, check out Lyndon LaRouche. So that was my first election, and after that, I never voted again. The only time I voted, and I'll be very honest, I did not vote in the 2016 election.
Same. I didn't either.
I did not vote. The last time I voted after most recent time was with the whole fluoride thing, because I wanted my vote to count, which apparently it didn't, and that really flipped my switch around cynicism and voting and local elections, and I got a real taste of how dirty politics is on a local level. It's absolutely cutthroat.
100%.
Yeah.
People think these local elections are like that. It's just innocence on these local levels, and I think you can find instances of people being bought out, whether it's from other countries or powerful people in this own country at every single level. So,
yep.
I mean, you look at Portland right now. We have essentially Ted Wheeler, who everyone knows about, running against an Antifa member who's openly supported Antifa. So, I mean, there's that to deal with. So they've all got something up their sleeve, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I've talked about this, and I really feel like what we're dealing with are kind of multiple crime syndicates, and look, Pablo Escobar actually, for a very brief period of time, ran Colombia. It was better to the Colombian people than the actual Colombian government, and that's a fact. And that's why the Colombian government wanted him killed. They were happy to take his cocaine money and his bribe money, but when he started doing things for the people, becoming more popular than the Colombian government, that's when he had to go. So
that's so funny.
Yeah, no, it's true. And
it's just so typical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're dealing really with crime syndicates and crime families. And
you pointed that out to me first, and I was like, that changed a lot of the way I view things, because it's like you're always trying to pin like who, like people say, well, who's they? And it's like, now I know. It's like there's like 5, there's a bunch of different little groups.
It's hierarchical. It starts at the top, and then it's hierarchical, and there are groups that are kind of move down from the top of that pyramid, right? And I would say that the groups that we actually see and know about, they're kind of mid-level groups, actually.
Yeah.
They're sort of out there vying for, public assets and public political power, and often doing the bidding for the groups that are above them, right? That's how the whole thing works. So the real groups, ones we don't see, they're way at the top of the pyramid. These are the families of the black nobility, and they've been around thousands and thousands of years, and very few people know who they are. So the trickle-down effect into these other families, it does happen, and they're supported by these families above them. But this is what we have as the public face. Trump, I think, has enough of the maverick and enough of the kind of radical to kind of upset the apple cart. And I've always felt that about Trump, even if I've never trusted him along the way. It totally is tough to pin. He's a smart motherfucker too.
I think you said, like, I gotta admit, I gotta say he's at least a Zionist at the very least.
Oh, well, he's got an allegiance to Israel.
Yes, exactly.
That's
and
for damn
he's
sure.
just so hard. He's done so many things where you can't get a good read on him. And that's part of the reason why I think he does so well with demographics like in this sub or on your channel, for example.
Yeah.
So and myself included.
Right. So how was your summer? Did you have a good summer?
Summer of my life. I'm actually still here, so I ended up finding a house to rent. So yeah.
So just to let you know, I kind of know a little bit how Daniel spent this summer. He was out on the Hood River, right? On the Hood River, just
on the Columbia
River, just doing a lot of water sports stuff all summer long, right?
Kiteboarding, yep.
Kiteboarding, yep. That's how you want to spend your summer, man.
Yeah.
Want to recharge.
And I'm trying to you kind of get back into work mode right now, and I am, but it's just there's so much going on, and I tune into your show every morning because I love your takes on stuff. I feel like I get a take that I can't get from like Reddit conspiracy or a lot of, even BitChute is hard to filter out where the good takes are.
Right.
So, it's really hard to get back into a certain mode. Like, for example, gung ho work mode, like when there's a massive amount of energy going on in the world and just with everything that's happening, So that's been my only struggle as of late.
Well, I mean, it's hard because we're in this metamorphic phase right now, and you'll get that timing thing. What are you, a Libra, Scorpio? What's your sign again?
I'm 2 days away from my birthday.
That's right,
November the 5th.
I knew Scorpio,
Yeah.
right? Yep.
Yep.
So the momentum will shift probably around the 5th. Solar return, right? That'll kick in, and if you wait long enough, Saturn will come in Aquarius, start kicking your ass and making sure that you get motivated. Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. I think I need a little bit of that, so I'm very welcoming to that.
So
I'm just glad to get this over with too.
So we're getting a count here in the chat. Let's see, Biden 133, Trump 115. So this thing is getting strung out and very close, a lot closer.
So I will say, my roommate is a mega liberal, and she was just downstairs. I ran down there during Mazaki's call, and she was not looking too excited. It's been a slow, I will say for her, it's been a huge change gradually in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting because I haven't really seen any of the numbers yet.
So Biden came out hot, and now it's starting to cool off. Right now, it's starting to cool off a bit. Yeah.
And I thought, overall going into today, I thought like we could see a reverse 2016 where we were going to see. I mean, like you were saying yesterday more. There's so much energy behind Trump. Like none of us have ever seen it before. None of us has ever seen this before.
Yeah.
So going into today, if you're on like the conspiracy side or even just the Trump side, and you see him lose, that would have I feel like that would have been a huge event. So it doesn't look like necessarily we're going to see that tonight.
Well, even if he does lose, if this thing does flip somehow, right? It's all about presence of mind, and we cannot get attached to any particular outcome. Because what we have to do is we have to keep our eyes on the prize, and the eyes on the prize is being able to navigate through our lives and being able to connect all of our various bodies up, so we're present all the time and we're responsive in real time. And when we do that, then we're capable of doing just about anything, because most of these people are on automatic fucking pilot, or they're order followers, right? And you can outthink, outmaneuver, outdance most of them if you are in the moment and switched on and not allowing the dominant paradigm to define who you are. And even if Trump wins, right? Even if he wins, there's still a lot that needs to be seen and to be unfolded and to see where this thing goes. Like, will he snuggle up with Klaus Schwab and, do a resell of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Trump style? Or is there going to be a break? How does the break happen? Like, we have, just basically a roadmap ahead of us that it's like unexplored country. So, to sit back and say, we're going to gauge who we are depending upon who becomes president and sort of runs this thing. Obviously, we have to interface with reality to some degree, but to allow that to determine who we are, look what it's done to the country. Look what it's done to the world. It's split us right down the middle, right? So as long as we can stay clear and move through this, things can happen, and things don't have to unfold in a particular way. Could it be harder, more dense, more gravity, more rules? Sure. But there's always a way through and around. Always.
What would be interesting is if we could find any type of connection between Schwab and Trump, or
there's a picture of them together. There's a picture of Schwab and Trump together, and it's hilarious.
So they do. Okay.
He has met him, and Trump is making a very funny face while he's shaking his hand. Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's kind of hilarious.
What do you think of that? Is that like I'm going to look it up right now.
I think Trump is playing a bit of the fool. Trump has fool energy.
Oh, yeah, I see it right now.
Trump is a trickster, man. Yeah. Trump is a trickster. He's ruled by Mercury with Uranus. He's got the Uranus jetpack, right? So he is a fucking trickster.
And Schwab doesn't look too happy in the picture.
No. He's being upstaged. It's almost like Trump is photobombing him.
Exactly. It looks like a troll job for sure.
Yeah. I'll show it to the people after you and I hang up. So is your sister overseas? Is she over in Europe?
She's having the time of her life in Croatia.
Yeah.
It's obviously it's less of the mask, it's more of the pro-America, and it's I guess it's just an easier situation. And she's still finding people that are under the brainwashing spell, but overall she's very happy to be out. So
Is she there permanently now? Is she hanging out there now?
she's there for another year at least. That's
for
what
her.
she signed a lease and or something. I don't know. She's got an apartment. She's
I'm
doing-
actually envious. Croatia is one of
fantastic.
those places I'd love to go visit.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And maybe you should too at some point in time.
That's definitely on the radar big time out of anything else right now. So yeah.
Yeah, and
See.
and great food, great wine, people with a lot of soul, a lot of spirit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're still alive there.
They are.
Well, listen, Daniel, it's been great catching up with you.
Yep. Thanks for taking the call.
Absolutely.
That was a lot of fun.
It looks like summer's been really good to you, so keep on trucking, brother.
Thanks, Robert. We'll see you.
Okay. All right. Take good care. Man, I'm digging this. I'm so digging this whole experience. All right. So what I want to do now, I want to take a few more calls, but I want to check in with Bannon in the war room. Let's see where we're at there. Let's get an update. He seems to have probably the most kind of on the dot, on the money, whether you believe in this whole thing or not, whether you're just like, oh, fuck this, it's all just a game. And they're all, either, selected or presented. I still like listening to Steve Bannon. So let's go find him here. Let's see what he's up to. All right. Okay, going live here with the War Room with Steve Bannon.
California is still not in, but Fox News is now reporting that Trump leads the popular vote by 2.5 million. And it's just fun to watch some of these lefty outlets. Like I've been checking in with the Young Turks who are already in complete meltdown over there, which it just makes me smile.
This is a worse night than Cenk Uygur finishing 5th in the primary with like 0 to Cenk. I love you, brother, but man, you did not represent that day. So it's a worse night. The Young Turks are in meltdown.
Already, yes, they are losing it.
Sorry, not sorry. No, this is. I got to tell you. You want to talk about a national security problem? You want to talk about the firewall that the oligarchs in Silicon Valley have put around the deplorables? Our Twitter feed was locked. We were locked out of our Twitter feed at the beginning of this broadcast. They knew they were going to do it. Jack, they knew that we were going to set a new really standard of getting hardcore details. Remember, for all the deplorables watching us, for everybody out there, they think you're too dumb, you're too stupid, you're too easily, the next shiny toy get your attention. What we try to do on the show every day, whether it's Stephen Hatfield and Jack Maxey talking about the pandemic, or whether it's us talking about capital markets or finance or geopolitics or politics, or the data, the math that drives politics, we try to get you more granularity. Yes, sir.
Where is Jack Maxey?
Jack is the
He's very quiet tonight, Jack.
Well, I'm
the
down at
audience
the
is
end.
asking where you are.
Jump in. Jack was going to
Look,
sit
I'll
right
tell
next
you
to me,
one
but
thing.
then I upgraded to mid.
I have been the guy saying that I think he's going to win the popular vote. Everyone's been telling me I'm crazy. And you know what I said? 5 million new gun owners. Let's presume half of them are Democrats. That means 2.5 million people are not voting for Joe Biden.
Hey, I got to tell you something. In Pennsylvania and in Wisconsin, I think you're seeing some of this. When he was talking about there are the silent Trump vote, the quiet Trump vote in these suburban counties with these women, those are the women that went out and bought guns. I'll bet you can do a correlation directly of
bet you're
first-time gun owners, and they said, hey, at the cocktail parties or at the PTA, yeah, Biden, he's good. I can't stand Orange Man bad. But when they went in, they pulled the trigger for Donald Trump. That's where you're seeing some prizes, and of course the mainstream media had the whole thing about the gunners. Oh no, they're going to break 50-50. You're not buying it, Jack?
No, I'm not buying it at all. In fact, you've seen some fairly progressive people. You remember Tim Pool, who's one of the more famous podcasters on the left. And he came out 3 weeks ago. He said, I used to be 100% for gun control. Then the riots started. I went out and bought some guns, and I will never vote for a politician who will take them away again.
Well, I think when we get when we get Richard Barris back, we're going to go back to Wisconsin. Kenosha, Racine. I think you're seeing some of that vote. There are people saying, hey, I may support the Democrats on a lot of policies, but this defund the police thing, I'm not into. And I particularly don't like the riots that are taking place. So I think we got a big feel for there. Any other Midge,
Well,
jump
I
in
just
here.
wanted to
You got to
sort of
fight
chime
for the
in on
mic.
that.
You got to fight for the mic.
I just got to chime in on that we're already seeing. I'm following along on Twitter. We're already seeing violence erupting outside the White House with these, BLM and Antifa has already been spotted out there. They've got people hitting counter protesters over the head with a baseball bat, and this video is already going viral on Twitter. And it just makes you think it's only what. That video was posted at 10:30 p.m.
Can we get that video over to Vish? Is there any way
Let
we
me
can
get
get
that
these
over
things
to
up?
them.
I don't know if it's too hard or not. We want to try to put some of the what else is happening on Twitter, Jack? What's anything happened on Twitter by the White House? I know they put up that fencing today.
Yeah.
You got to remember something. The whole Chinese TV team of G News and G Media came here. And it's kind of embarrassing, Jack. I know you and Raheem went over a couple of nights ago. Bernie Carrick and I were there last night. The W Hotel, the old Washington Hotel, sits right across from the Treasury Department on 15th Street, right next to the White House. In fact, from that restaurant up top, you can actually see the White House. We go over there, and they're getting ready. The National Guard's going to come out. They're putting barricades around. You've got all these protests. They're putting this fence up that you can't climb. And you're sitting there going, how embarrassing is this for our country? I mean, it's one thing to have protests. It's another thing to have people that have basically left China, because of the torture of the Chinese Communist Party, the way the Chinese Communist Party is trying to shut things down. And they're here in the United States, supposedly the greatest democracy in the world. And you're seeing what they're really, every store is boarded up. Everybody's getting ready for these riots. And guess what's happened? We're getting close to 11 o'clock at night. We're just about at the 11 o'clock hour. President Trump is clearly not getting defeated in a landslide. He looks like he's competitive. A couple things go his way. He could be reelected, right? And what are they doing? All of a sudden, they're going to start with these riots, start with this anarchy and this chaos.
Look, the president is up 15% in Pennsylvania at the moment. Okay, we've had 40% reported, and he's up 15%. They didn't think they'd ever be in this position. Why do you think the riots are starting now? I mean, here's the thing. You got to consider all the things we've been saying on the War Room in the last couple of weeks, between the Red Mirage, the Transition Integrity Project. Bill, it's very clear that the Red Mirage, this is not a Red Mirage. Those numbers are not a mirage, right? Like, that's real.
So I'm going to keep that on in the background because I want to have this Richard Barris come on because he seems like he has a pretty good handle on the vote and how it's breaking down. So one of the things I brought up earlier tonight is would it be possible for Trump to win the popular vote and lose the electoral college? Like, is that a possibility? And would we have a reverse of 2016? And what would that set up? And they, the left would say, oh, well, gee, how does it feel? Right? Oh, you won the popular vote, but oh, you love your electoral college, don't you? Oh, so do we. We're going to keep that electoral college now. So that's an interesting dynamic because Trump seems to be winning the popular vote. Doesn't sound like he's winning the electoral college vote because a number of states have not chimed in. Really, the state that's going to be the kicker, obviously, is Pennsylvania. I mean, it's going to be Pennsylvania. They're dicking around with Virginia, apparently. And but Pennsylvania, that's going to be the state right there. If somehow he manages to control and maintain the lead in Pennsylvania, I think you can pretty much stamp this thing. But apparently, that's also where there's been the greatest amount of vote fraud or election fraud. So yeah, I think that's obviously the state to keep an eye on. And like he's out in front in California with the popular vote. That's crazy, but not so crazy because a lot of, maybe a lot of liberal Californians have left, right? And now you have the diehard deplorables who can't afford to move, so they're voting for Trump. Texas, PA, and Florida looking good. Let me check in with the War Room. I want to see this guy Richard Barris. He seems to have sort of the best take on how this thing is breaking down, even though Steve Bannon is palatable to listen to. And I want to take some more calls. Maybe I don't want to look at MSNBC or CNN or even Fox. I don't want to go into that world right now. I'd rather deal with personalities and sort of the kind of the outside looking in perspective. So why don't we do this? If you guys want to come back in, I'll take another call. Want to come back in? I'll take another call. I'll keep an eye on Barris. Barris is Bannon's captive mentat. Yeah. Well, look, he's got to get a check from somebody at some point. So if you want to get in on Skype, I'm going to give you my Skype name right there. Boom. Not worried about Texas. No, we're good out here. And then I'll give you my Skype phone number. So if you want to, you can jump in and we'll take another call here. Let me get you the number. Give me 1 second. Okay. California. Went to Orange and Washington. Annie, you're killing me. That's funny, man. That's really funny. That's hilarious. Okay, so we got you guys are awesome. Okay, there it is. There's a number if you want to call in on Skype. If you try to get through earlier, the lines are open. West of the Rockies, first-time caller. Wild card line at east of the Rockies. There's just all like, 4 lines, and there's always that wild card line in Art Bell land. This is a great format to be using. I think so, right? You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get when you come on this show. Sometimes you get a big cat head. Sometimes you get me calling somebody up in a school district in Texas, asking about their standards of hygiene, their fascist standard. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes I don't even know. All right, what's going on? It looks like Steve Bannon's busy checking his his phone, and he's trying. Steve Bannon's pounding Red Bulls, by the way. He should be getting a Red Bull endorsement. So, call in if you feel like it. Come on, be a guest. Let's hear what you have to say. It's your time. Yeah, I guess I could call you back. I got some people that have already called in, but you know what? It's up to you. You got to make the first move. Let me do this. Let me cruise around Twitter. Let's see what Twitter's up to. I guess we can check in with the Fat Man and see what's going on there. Oh, you got to check this out. You got to check this shit out. The Young Turks. Oh, it couldn't happen to a better group of people. Those guys are so full of themselves. Check this out. Election results might be delayed. Uh-oh. Cernovich. 12 minutes ago. Cernovich. Why is he happy? Maybe he had some kind of bodily function. All right, what else? What else we got? Trump is behind in North Carolina. In Ohio, what is happening here? That was 2 hours ago. Apparently, something's changed. What does Tulsi Gabbard have to say? It is election day. You may be thrilled or heartbroken with the results. No matter what the outcome, let us remember who we are as Americans and what unites us. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, United States, fight we fall, onward together. I love Tulsi, but yeah. She's a little bit robotic. Trump continues to lead. This guy's kind of interesting, this Ian Miles Chong character. Easily in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. That was 49 seconds ago. 49 seconds ago. Social media is killing people. When a tide of outrage drowns the truth, violence reigns. So they have extradited Aaron Rittenhouse and Kyle Rittenhouse. They extradited him to Wisconsin. All right, so what does he have to say here? Fox News, this is 27 seconds ago, just declared Trump winner of Florida. California's blue is 0% reporting. That is ridiculous. Welcome to the illusion. Welcome to the grand illusion. So that's interesting. Looks like Florida is in the bag. Oh, the New York Times, of course, has declared Biden the winner of the 3 Chinese vassal states. Jay Inslee, the most useless governor, just won his seat in Washington State. There was no, yeah, you're in trouble. The Young Turks just attacked dumb, poor white people for supporting Trump. The Young Turks is now blaming toxic masculinity for the outcome. Oh boy, they're having a complete meltdown. Trump has a 3-point lead in Florida, 1.1 in North Carolina, +7 in Ohio. That's significant. +12 in Georgia, 1.7 in Wisconsin, 14 in Pennsylvania, and 11 in Michigan. All right, there you go. There is kind of your latest up to the minute sort of polling. Lardman says we should put our energy into who we, what is that? I got to go into the void. Forgive me. I have to jump into the void. I love blinking out of time space into who we want to win. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that energy's already happened in a lot of ways. Now we get to see back and see how this thing unfolds. You know, here's where I am. I'm gonna be here. Here's how you solve the dilemma, right? I want the candidate, the best candidate to win, who will accelerate our awakening so that we can have less dependency on politicians and these Saturnian control structures, which have dominated our lives for easily the last 2,000 years, if you believe in that timeline. So I want the candidate who's going to be the one that's going to accelerate us the fastest. And I don't care who it is. If it's Trump, bring it on. And if it's Biden, bring it on. That's who I want. Whoever gets us there the fastest, whoever allows us to fold, space between now and 2030, that's who I want to win. That's where I want the energy to go. And that to me is clean, right? That's clean because that's the intention. That's the goal. We want to rid ourselves of these structures. We don't want these structures ruling our lives. I see people doing things with 3D printers that make manufacturing obsolete. Absolutely obsolete. And I've said, you give me 150 people with a variety of skill sets, very low ego, like really mild to moderate ego. They need to be able to, have pride in what they do and believe in themselves. You give me like a nice, well-rounded group of people with a variety of skill sets, can live and work and play together. You give me 100 acres and or even 50 acres and some water and some solar and some good power and some 3D printers and some good land, and check back with us in about 3 years. And let's see what we could create. I bet it could be pretty fucking cool. Pretty fucking cool. Right? That's really all it takes. It takes the right mix. It takes the right intention. It takes the right materials. It takes the right, topsoil, both spiritually and physically, and you can grow some really interesting things. I mean, for me, that's the future of humanity as we wean ourselves away from these top-down control structures and we find new ways of exchanging goods and services and energy and time. And then we move closer to a profound relationship with nature that unveils its secrets to us. There's a whole world of nature that is just waiting to open up to us, to show us things that once we can move out of some of these dominant paradigm kinds of, mind locks, it will unveil magic to us in ways that we have never been able to comprehend, from the insect world to the plant world to the animal world. That doesn't mean you become a vegetarian or whatever, right? But it's there. It is there. And that's the one thing that we're really missing in our reality, is this relationship to this animist spirit that can interact with us in very complex ways. Because if we can bring a certain level of conscious awareness, to that environment, and being in a place where, the big issue is going to be 5G. I mean, that's going to be that the 5G is a problem. I think it's a problem. A lot of people don't think it's a problem. I think it's a problem. And that's gonna take us away from that potentiality with nature. Genetically modified foods do. I mean, that's what Klaus Schwab and all these motherfuckers want to do. They want to rewrite the code for nature. It's exactly what they want to do. They want to be God. And they, in that way, they control the theoretical secrets. Nature will never reveal their secrets. Its secrets to people like Klaus Schwab or Bill Gates or any of these globalists, but it'll reveal its secrets to humble people. People who are patient and open and, want to spend time in the environment. Of course it will, but not to those guys. Never. They may rape nature in order to break the secrets open, but they'll never get the good stuff. They'll never get this. Breaking news: Florida man gives 4 more years and second wave of awakening. What does that mean? Is he like a prophet or something? We need individualism, but also a deep concern for the vulnerable. Not to tell people who are elderly, disabled to do it on your own. Well, that's true. I mean, the elderly have gotten a really bad. They've gotten a bad deal in our society. Once society became really youth oriented, and once Madison Avenue stuck its fangs into the American pocketbook in the 1950s and 60s and promoted youth culture and endless youth culture, we lost a really important part of our element. We lost the ability to, see older people as being functional and being able to contribute to our lives and to our families. You're totally spot on with that. Absolutely. Let's see. What else do we have here? Independence, not communism. Yeah, they work together. And we have to reimagine what it's like to be individuals. That's why the whole sovereign thing, as I dipped into it for the last week or so, became a bit of a turnoff, because what I saw was a bunch of individuals and they all thought that they had the right language or the right key or the right seal, and this person was disqualified and that person, and it's like they're all fucking fighting. They're all having these turf wars to really determine who's the one that's got the right flag, the right seal, the right piece of paper, and nobody else has the bona fides. It's like, fucking just get together. Like, figure out how you're going to work together. So what? Maybe this guy's got that. Maybe you got that. Maybe they have that. Put it together. Because that's all I've seen with that world is nothing but infighting and everybody, scratching out for kind of, being able to be, the king of an invisible kingdom, really. The Steve Bannon Q. Could be. They're all right bunch of autist nonsense. Sigurd, I think you had the comment that really summed that whole thing up, because for me that whole thing is just bereft of imagination. And I get it, like you're dealing with contract law and you're dealing, with the mind forged manacles, of how the world's been created. In that world, like, that's a very Saturnian world. So when you go into that world, you're dealing directly with Saturn. You're going Saturn on Saturn, right? That's what's happening. Saturn on Saturn, in most cases, you're going to lose, by the way. But if you bring another element, if you bring Uranus to Saturn or Jupiter to Saturn, it's a different kind of environment. It's a different kind of interaction. And the thing that you really picked up on was the guy that was playing the keyboard in Spain. Well, the fucking world is losing its mind. And that guy in that moment was the center of the storm, and he was free, and nobody could touch him. Nobody could touch him. So that was a brilliant comment on your part. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I've seen that kind of fashion in all groups, Robert, sadly. It's true. It's true. Chatlandia, don't get too big for your britches. You got to stay open, Chatlandia. All right, let's go back to Bannon. Let's see what Bannon's up to. All right. Our guy is here. Richard Barris is back on. Let's see what the Nostradamus of the popular vote has to say. Here we go.
So this leaves a lot of Trump votes still out. Half, half, half. Look at Washburn. That's only 16% in. Trump's killing it there. And down here, Racine tightened a little bit. But I mean, it's going to be hard for Joe Biden to flip at this point. And then you have Kenosha, the scene of the riots. A lot of votes there. Half left. And Trump is doing very well there. So this would have to be his path because I do think Green probably will flip when it comes in. And then Iowa is too close for comfort for Joe Biden. So if really Trump just starts taking all this, leaves Dane, leaves Milwaukee, yet he's performing better there, then that would be his path forward. He lost La Crosse last time. He's competing for it tonight.
Okay, last thing, 30 seconds, you got to go. If you're in Joe Biden's camp tonight, if they're looking at that map in Wisconsin and they understand they could lose the presidency right here after potentially having an upset in Arizona, and you're looking at that map, something that the Washington Post told you less than a week ago that you were up 17 points. Where are you looking that you're going to get votes? What are you praying that happens in what sections of that state?
This has to be a fluke. Milwaukee has to be a fluke, Steve. It has to be. He can't be at 39, 40%. He started at around 37 there and started to tick up. Dane has to have more votes than they thought before. And that's really, I mean, it's starting to look bleak. That's really it. That's the path.
You think that there could be an upset in Wisconsin tonight for Donald Trump if this trend continues?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
If you had told me at the beginning of the week, sir, that he would lose Arizona and win Wisconsin, because I thought I went really on a limb on my 289 to pick Wisconsin, but God bless you. Okay, Richard Barris, you're the best in the business. You've proven it tonight. You've proven what you've done over the last couple of weeks. We're going to let you go. We're going to get you back here in a little while, and we're going to take a short break, let everybody refuel. We're going to let Barris go back to his computers and his analysis and get some updates for us when he comes back. We're going to have other guests. This is a dogfight. The one thing we know that there is a bold red predicate being set tonight. Jack Maxey, you're absolutely correct. Jack Maxey, when he heard all this about a blowout, about a Mondale type crushing of Donald Trump and the Trump movement, he laughed at it. He said, this is nothing but information warfare. This is all nonsense. It's not going to happen. And I think we're seeing it tonight. Donald J. Trump, win, lose, or draw, this is going to be tight. This is a fight. There's no Charlie Cook and you guys. Last night, Charlie Cook, you were a disgrace. You were a disgrace. You ought to hang the cleats up. To go on Lawrence O'Donnell and mock and ridicule the president of the United States, said he was going to lose in an epic, historic landslide, just shows what a complete hack you have become. Okay. And the other guys were hacks beforehand, but at least Charlie Cook and some others had some reputation. Before we go, Midge, what do you got for us?
I've got a little bit of breaking news, some projections. Fox is projecting is that Alabama Senate seat will flip from Democrat to Republican with Tuberville, the Republican, over Jones, the Democrat. Yep. And NBC is reporting something similar might happen in Michigan. This is huge. Saying that we might pick up a Republican.
John James.
John James.
The attack helicopter pilot from West Point is one of the greatest candidates out there. This would be amazing. And if John James wins, guys, hopefully President Trump can have an upset in Michigan. I got to tell you, Peters is a stiff. And I think it's the folks in Michigan. And I'll tell you another thing. I think it's the African-American community saying, hey, look, we don't need just to take another Democrat. We like the cut of this guy's jib. right? And he's a guy that's going to go someplace. This guy's a superstar.
And what's interesting right now, if you look at the whole vote, James is beating his Senate opposition at a larger number than Trump is beating Biden in the same state. Now they're both well ahead, but I think that leads to what you're talking about, Steve. People went out there and split their vote.
I got to tell you, this is really going to be. And hey, I picked, as you know, I picked Tuberville over Jones, and I picked James as the upset victor in Michigan to hold the Senate. But I got to tell you, on James, it was more of a prayer than really. I have tremendous belief in this guy. He's just a great young man. Okay, we're going to take a short break. Don't go away. We're going to have AVN coverage is going to come.
Okay, so looks like Trump is on his way possibly to winning Wisconsin. What do we got here? Yes, black people often use the word jib. That's a sailor term. And, ban his naval intelligence. He was the cut of his jib. I like the cut of his jib. Is he fucking Popeye? Let's see. What else do we have here? Tuberville will get in and out. Tuberville, man, that guy's been on a rocket ride, right? He beat Jeff Sessions, and now he's beating Doug Jones, who was a nobody to begin with. And Doug Jones beat the wacky sheriff. So Tommy Tuberville, ex-football coach, and a mediocre one at best. Look at Idaho. Is Idaho happening? Trump 76%. Biden 19. That's in Idaho. Okay. Biden said Democrats have built the best voting fraud machine money can buy. Trump cleaned up and that's a state I think that Trump would have no problem taking care of. No problem. So I had to check this out. I had a client today. And if you're in Idaho, Frank, if you're in Idaho, we've got some spuds. We got some spuds in the chat. So this gal and her boyfriend relocated. They relocated to Idaho from California. And when they got there, guess what happened? The prices for real estate were through the fucking roof. Like, timing is everything in life. It's everything. Timing is everything. To get to a place before it goes off is really important. Oh, I got to pay my rent tonight too. Speaking of timing, thank you, whoever put that into my head. Timing is everything. It's really critical. And getting to a place when everybody else is, getting lifeboats off the Titanic, that's not really great timing. That's not really great timing. You got to be a little ahead of the curve in the timing game. And there's still opportunities if you want to relocate. And I'll tell you a state that I think is kind of interesting. And we were just talking about it. And I don't know anything about the politics, but Alabama, I've seen parcels of land in Alabama, 300-400 acres of land with water, for anywhere between $500,000 to $600,000. Like, those places are interesting. And frankly, you want to be beneath the 40th parallel anyway. I mean, if you're up top and you can live with, living up in the northern hemisphere, up the northern part of the country, that's great. That's fine. I do think we're coming into a grand solar minimum. It's going to get more difficult in some of those places. So that's why you're seeing a lot of people relocate to Texas, because I think they know what's coming. And Texas and Florida were the recipient of the greatest migrational push since this Corona madness started. So timing is everything. Everything. You want to be ahead of the curve. You want to be too far ahead of the curve. But you want to be enough ahead of the curve so you get there ahead of the crowd and get ahead of the mob so that you can take advantage of it. Like, I just knew it was time to move out of that apartment, and I made the move, and I was going to live in Kerrville, but then I wound up here, and the timing was perfect because now it's really hard to find a rental place here. And I'd be kind of, locked into that apartment, which I was getting really, really cramped with. And some of you folks who were at the event came by and hung out here, and there's a lot of potential. And I left California in 2012. And I knew it. I was done. I was like, the energy was just no longer there anymore. It was just no longer there. Many people leave after one winter here. Yeah, it's not an easy place. They'll find out, won't they? Hey, Natasha, what's happening? Nice to see you. Don't want to be too far ahead of the curve. Hey, there's Jelena. Jelena's my new friend. I did a reading today with Jelena. One of the most interesting charts I've ever seen, and she's a 2-4 projector like yours truly. I hope I'm not sharing too much, Jelena. Say hi to her. Welcome her to chat. Very interesting person. Very, very interesting. Climate is not too bad in lower Alabama, also known as Louisiana. That's funny. That's very, very funny. Let's see. What else? What do you guys get going? Lots of homesteaders moved to Tennessee. Yep. Beachfront property in Phoenix post 2024. There you go. I knew you were going to say Bama. That's the place. I'm telling you. That's the place. At least I think. I don't know anything about the local politics. So what did Arizona go? Did Arizona go blue? Fuckers. You knew that was happening. Doug Ducey he's a Republican in name only. Republican in name only. Let's see. I'm in D'Iberville, Mississippi. I love it here. I'm here 6 months. However, people are cool. Cool in a good sense. Like Arizona going blue, Wisconsin's going red. A lot of Californians in Wisconsin. I'm sorry, Arizona, big time. Big time. And Michigan looks like is Michigan going red too? Like that would be fucking awesome. That would be awesome. I know a lot of people, man. Like I know a gal who lived in Pennsylvania and she moved to Michigan. She's cool. She listens to the show a lot. And she's up there and her boyfriend's got a gun shop. And Katie, if you're listening, shout out to you, Katie. You know, I just think people are tired of these just absolutely titanic, oligarchic, bloated bodies, you know, of power and influence just pushing us the fuck around and telling us what to do and where to stand and how far to stand apart. It's just bullshit. It's total bullshit. It's going to be interesting. The number 1, 2A state going blue. I know, right? They got the best gun laws in Arizona. Virginia goes Trump. There we go. A little flippity dippity. How are there 5 thumbs down here? Speaking of Arizona, there's Alexandra Hunter in the house. What's going on, Alexandra? Good to see you. Alabama is hot and humid. I'm trying to escape that. Yes, that's why the land is cheap. That's why the land is cheap. Not a lot of people want to be there when it's hot and humid and dealing with mosquitoes the size of fruit bats. Let's see. So mad I forgot you were live. Well, here you are. It's good to see you, Alexandra. Alexandra, let me tell you a little bit about Alexandra. Alexandra was on my show a couple times during the blog talk phase. You will never meet anybody more committed to fighting the geoengineering on this planet than Alexandra was during that period. She went to France. She went to the Climate Accord. I mean, she was really committed, super, super committed. And you were really inspirational during that time, Alexandra. Just want to let you know, which is why I wanted to be on my show as much as possible. So, you know, you really put yourself out there and you learned a lot about a lot of things, including human nature. So I'm glad to see you, and I hope you're doing really, really well, really well. Watch Nature's Always Right channel for insight to Tennessee. Christine is so hooked in. Love you, darling. Yes. Lexi. Okay, so I could do dry heat, but no swamp. Texas. If you want dry heat, you got to go to West Texas. I think there's shit in West Texas. I think they're hiding things in West Texas. I really do. I think there's things going on in West Texas that are unusual. So there's Marfa in West Texas. That place is weird. It is really weird. And then you've got the town next to Marfa, His name I always forget. Pass right through. But I think West Texas. You want dry heat? There you go. There's nothing out there. Absolutely nothing out there. Marfa's slightly interesting. Dumbs. There's an Air Force base in West Texas. There was. Didn't that got sold? Didn't that? I think they sold that, right? I think they sold that base, if I'm not mistaken. But there was a base there. Shay Michelle in the house. What's going on? Alpine. Thanks, Joe. Alpine. I kind of liked Alpine. I liked Alpine, Texas. It was kind of like it reminded me of like a Texas version of the town in Northern Exposure, the fake Alaska town in North. Alpine kind of reminded me of that. El Paso, no. El Paso is really hardcore with the mask shit. I'll tell you a really interesting place. It was years ago. I don't know what it's like now, but Bisbee, Arizona. That was a place I wanted to live in. I was like so taken with Bisbee, Arizona, right on the border there. Total artist community. I loved Bisbee. I thought it was super cool. That was a place that I was like, man, if I could figure out how to live here, if I could figure out how to live in Bisbee, that'd be a place to be. Yeah, we got Frank's in Idaho. Talk to her about Idaho, Frank. I just cashed my fire ballot for the best candidate for humanity. There you go, man. That's how you do it, Laura, man. That's how you do it. Roswell, New Mexico. I've been to Roswell. It's underwhelming. It's underwhelming. Not a fan. Now, Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. I find that place interesting. Natasha, what did you think of Truth or Consequences? Natasha and a few other Chatlanders went off to Truth or Consequences. Oh, Megan Donovan in the house, all the way from Germany. What's going on, Megan? Good to see you. Lindsey Graham. Have you seen Mitch McConnell lately? The guy's petrifying. He's turning into like the Fly. Have you seen his hands and shit? He's like, Fort Huachuca. Hey, Kevin, what's going on? New Mexico just called for, yo, really? Oh, color me shocked. There. Oh, you're in New York. Oh, there's a story behind that. I hope it's a good one. Mitch won here in Kentucky. He can, yeah. Number one, you get what you pay for. Number two, I have access to cheap land through tax sales. How many times do I have to say this? Say it as many times as you need to till you get it. Dallas said Dallas is brutal. Yeah, Mitch McConnell's hands were kind of fucked up. So go Second Amendment. One of Idaho's best traits, guns forever. Right on, Welsh Roses. So Natasha, I still want to know what Truth or Consequences was like. What was it like? Did you have a good time in that weird little town? Bend, Oregon's interesting. You know, there's that area in the Cascades between East and West Oregon. It's full of hot springs. Oh my God. It is loaded with hot springs. I'm a hot spring freak, by the way. I'm totally a hot spring freak. Yeah, McConnell looks brutal. What did Megan say? I want to go back to what Megan said. I got my visa 2 years, so I was able to come back. Okay. So you're able to go back, hopefully, right? Yeah, Shay lives up in Dallas. Cool spot. Cool spot. Good. I don't like West Texas. Hill country is nice. Hot, humid. There's your dry heat. Look, I think in a lot of ways for me, like I really dig Santa Fe. I like Taos. I like northern New Mexico. Unfortunately, New Mexico has become really difficult to live in. And you just almost have to cross it off your list. Southern Colorado, I love Southern Colorado. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Pagosa Springs, that whole area, lush, verdant, aquifers. You got the giant sand dunes. Southern Colorado is really magical. Really, really magical. I love Southern Colorado. I got a $300 ticket while on tour in West Texas. Yes, I go back to Idaho. It'll be Wyoming. What else? Bend is cool. Antifa got their ass kicked out of Bend. Does anybody want to call in? Does anybody want to do the call thing, or are we done with that? There was just like a window, and you all called in, and that was it. Jay Widener's in way up in the Rockies. He's like in the Himalayas of the Rockies. That's where Jay is. So upset about air. Claudia, you got to get in touch with me. I know this is Claudia Koenig. Claudia, you got to call me. Please call me. Call me. I know you want to get in touch with me. Please call me. Unbelievable. AZ went, that doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me. But that's a big state. And that's a state that is kind of needed. All right, let me go back into Twitter and let's see what's happening in Twitterville. Let's go to this guy Ian Miles Chong. Let's see what's happening here. Hold on. I'm there. Hold on. I was just there. Let me go back. All right, can you see what's happening? I need to see what's happening. All right, here we go. Hold on. Okay. Washington and Oregon need to be split in half. Split them among the Rockies. I would agree with that. Yep. Way too soon to count Arizona. Way too soon. We believe over 2/3 of the outstanding election day voters are going to be for Trump. Can't believe Fox was so anxious to pull the trigger here after taking so long. Fox, you cannot trust Fox. They're traitorous bastards. Paul Ryan is on the board of Fox. Just remember that. That says all you need to know. All you need to know. All you need to know. All right, here we go. We got some Antifa action here. You guys want to check that out? Is that a live stream? It's 6 seconds worth. Burn the American plantation down. Trump for Utah. There we go. 300,000 in Michigan. Michigan is saying F you to socialism. Nate Silver has been quiet on Twitter for the past hour. I wonder why. Kelly Loeffler wins her seat in Georgia. Doug Collins called to concede. Is that the Q candidate, Kelly Loeffler? Okay. Trump's lead in Texas is up by 456,323 in Georgia. 23. So, okay, here we go. Fox, this is 31 minutes ago, has just declared Trump the winner of Florida. Okay. Things are rolling. Oh, look at this. Sarah McBride to become the first openly transgender state senator in the U.S. after winning an election in Delaware, Joe Biden's new hometown state. There's your candidate, your presidential candidate for 2028 right there. Oh, somebody's calling in. Hello. Charles Mazak. What's happening? Okay, well, we got to bring you on now. Now that you've crashed the party line, let me bring you on. I'm gonna get out of this window here. The great Charles Mazak has called in, so let's we might even bore people with some. We might even bore people with some. The great Charles Mazak has called in. Charles, can I just say you're the most interesting Christian I've ever met, or have now officially met. You're the only Christian I know that goes to Indian casinos and likes to lay a few down, amongst a few other things. And I'm not complaining, by the way. I think it's probably how the universe balances itself out. All right, lay it on me. Go ahead. That's all right. Okay. Wow. Oh wow. $1,600 on your mom's birthday. When they call you, they call you Chucky P. Hey, Chucky P. Oh. Well, yeah, yeah. Right. All right. So you're in the spirit. So you had a few glasses of the old grape last night, huh? Well, well that let's go ahead. I mentioned I love what? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a good investment. Yeah. Yeah, that's happened to me, Charles. But let's just say the substances were a little bit different than alcohol. So I've had that experience. Yes. So you were yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe you're having a really powerful Neptune transit. Maybe that's what's going on with your chart. Yeah, it's a good bunch. I heard you and Johnny got into it the other day, and I haven't seen him lately. So, yeah, Johnny Cruz, yeah. So, see, yeah. I think I listen. That was during the Russell J. Gould show, and there's something about the energy with that movement that is atomizing. Right? It's completely atomizing, and it creates kind of a fractal energy. And I can see it happening in the chat room. I think it was just part of the kind of the quantum sort of mechanic of that show, or the quantum vibe of that show. It was kind of splitting things up in some ways, and I think that movement kind of does that. I mean, I've seen that amongst these various groups. They can't get it together, and there can even be like with Russell and David Wynn Miller. I mean, what happened to them? And they wound up turning on each other. So there's something to that. There's something inherent kind of in that model, in that vibe, that I think brings that out, naturally brings that out. Where are you from originally, Charles? Right? Hmm. Yeah. Biloxi. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yep. And people in the South and in Texas, they just generally tend to be like nicer. Now that doesn't make them friendlier, but they're nicer. And I've always appreciated that about the Texans. You experience more of that and even more hospitality when you get deeper into the South. So are you playing fantasy football, Charles? Are you? What's your story with that? Okay. Yes. Yes. Do you have the over? Oh, FanDuel. So it's your IDP players, right? Yeah, I haven't played FanDuel in a while. Yeah. Right. Right. Hit. Y- Yeah. 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 And then even did you hit on that one? Oh, dude, you gotta drop all sentimentality when it comes into that shit. They're all just widgets and shits, man. That's all they are at that point. Yeah, that's all they are. Oh. I was shocked. I mean, I was absolutely shocked that there was nobody in the stands at the stadium. I mean, it blew my mind. It totally. I mean, this is MetLife Stadium, New York City. Not a single person in the stands. It was surreal. And then they were pumping in fan noise, which was just bizarre, like fake ass fan noise. And it's just like it's clown world. So I guess if you want to gamble and bet on, I've got a buddy who wants me to. He's asked me to be on his fantasy football team every year. He wants me to play, and I don't have a relationship outside of that with him. He's a great guy, lives in California, and it's like this, yearly ritual. It starts in August and ends in February. And last year we won the championship. The other year we came in third. I've gotten really good at like playing. I hate to say it, but I've gotten really good at playing fantasy football. And yeah, sure, sure, sure. No, it's true. And it's not just the players, but it's the players in connection with the coaches. And, there are certain players who just, they don't fit. They're just not a right fit. And sometimes you can even see that astrologically. Bill Belichick was an Aries, Tom Brady was a Leo. You had a fire connection there. It was a great fit. Total great fit. Bruce Arians in Tampa is a Libra. He's the opposite of Bill Belichick. So he's gonna give Tom Brady more latitude, more leeway. Tom Brady wants Antonio Brown. Guess what? Bruce Arians will, he'll concede, he'll make it happen. So a lot of it isn't just the quarterback, but it's also the relationship with the quarterback and the coach. And there are certain guys, they're just meteoric, they're just like when Colin Kaepernick, today's his birthday, when Colin Kaepernick, yeah, today's Colin, yeah, when Colin Kaepernick was having his his breakout season, and I totally saw this. I saw it come in, and I was tracking him. Alex Smith was the quarterback for the 49ers, and Alex Smith has Saturn in Scorpio, and he's a Taurus sun. And I just kept looking at Alex Smith's Saturn return, and Colin Kaepernick is a Scorpio, and I said, Colin Kaepernick is going to be a part of Alex Smith's Saturn Returns story. And I looked exactly at a specific game and weekend in when they played the Rams, because I knew where Saturn was going to be. I knew where it was going to hit in Kaepernick's chart, because he was going to have a Saturn-Sun conjunction, and it was going to boost him, but it was going to make Alex Smith's life a lot more difficult. And I said this on a forum. I said, this is going to be the last time Alex Smith will officially play quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. He's going to get injured. Colin Kaepernick will take over, and he will be the 49ers quarterback moving forward. And that's exactly what happened. You can see it. Like, if you knew it and saw the patterns, you could absolutely see it. And I was so dialed in to Kaepernick that season that I was able to like even predict his games. And the one game that threw me off was the Super Bowl. And there was a lot of strange stuff going on with the Super Bowl, which was so one of the things that I said before that game is I said there's a lot of darkness around this game. And I said there's a lot of darkness around this game. And boom, the lights went out. I said it about a week and a half beforehand. But the whole workup to that, it was a hyper ritual. It was like a hyper Civil War ritual between Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh, who are brothers. And it was like brothers fighting against one another. And that season, there was a story about both of them going to this Civil War reenactment, right? It was just, they just happened to go to this Civil War reenactment before the whole season started. And then they wind up, going against each other in the Super Bowl in New Orleans, which theoretically was the great battle of New Orleans. And even Stevie Wonder was it was funny the other night. The other night, yeah, he was the halftime show. Stevie Wonder and Beyonce. So it was Saturday morning, and I woke up with these Stevie Wonder songs in my head, and then and then like 10 minutes after, all of a sudden, I'm reading this news piece that Stevie Wonder now wants reparations for everybody. I'm like, well, where the fuck is that coming from? And I just woke up thinking about Stevie Wonder. It was just right out of the blue, and then he's trending on Twitter about reparations. So we live in a strange universe, Charles. Very strange.
Before I go, I want to thank you tremendously for the link to John Levy and
Mud Fossil.
that guy's out there.
Yeah, Mud Fossil's
I mean,
a trip,
he is.
right? It's a total trip.
Oh my God! And by the way, I've been getting into Daryl Hall's house. Have you ever been there?
I've seen the show. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm stuck. Stevie Wonder. All the greats from yesteryear, and they're just hanging out and playing.
It's a great show.
Cool.
It's a great show.
It is. If you want to just check out of this world for a while and drink a little wine, just go down those old great songs. It's so cool. It's so freaking awesome.
So one of my favorite episodes is when they have Cheap Trick, and Daryl joins them on Taxman, and it's just fucking brilliant, man. Fucking brilliant.
Okay, one trivia question.
Okay.
Who do you feel is the greatest female vocalist of your life? I'll give you a hint. She died in 1996 at the age of 33. Every time I listen to this woman, I bawl my eyes out. She's just got this voice.
1996 at the age of 33.
33. She died of leukemia, I think.
Okay. I'm trying to think of who died young during that time. What are we talking? Minnie Riperton? Didn't Minnie Riperton die young? But it's not Minnie Riperton, is it?
No.
All right, who is? Who is it?
She sang all the standards. Eva Cassidy.
Oh, Eva Cassidy. I'm not entirely familiar. I know who she is.
She's
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Absolutely something else. Well, listen, my friend, I'm really glad to talk to you. And I'll be listening. I'll be paying attention. And I really appreciate you, Robert. I really do. I want to just tell you that.
I
from my heart.
appreciate you too. You're the most interesting Christian I know. The amazing Charles Mazak.
However, your perception of dispensational application of biblical doctrine needs to be modified, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. I'm open to having it maybe modified slightly, but not too much. I'm not ready to quite let it go yet. I'll have to ease into that.
We all need a little modification from time to time.
Absolutely.
I'll see you, brother.
Okay. Take care. All right. Wow. The great Charles Mazak. How about that? Were you guys able to hear that? Is that okay? Did you were able to hear that? Pine, Arizona. My town voted for Trump. We're back. I got to go back into the void. We got 191 people here, and I'm about to get off soon. I got to pay my rent soon before midnight. I'm back. I'm back in. I'm sorry. I apologize. Charles and I just had a private conversation. Never heard of Eva Cassidy. I learned something new. I apologize. Only the last 5 minutes. Well, the first 10 minutes were the best. Sorry, you got the no. I'm flipping switches here. But that was Charles Mazak, who is in chat, and he's a great guy. He's an absolutely great guy. He shows up. Interesting character. Very interesting character. Go to Bannon. Let's go to Bannon. We got a Bannon request. Let's go there now. That Barris guy's on War Room. Let's go. Let's get Rich Barris's latest take. Let's see where we are. The great drama. The great election night drama. Here we go.
The tranche of North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona that would stay on the foundation of Ohio and Florida for a Trump victory. This was one, quite frankly, that I think you felt the most comfortable about. Your final number was around 2.5 or 2.7%. Let's go through that, where we are now, and I want you to make the case for our audience of why you think why you think Fox was too quick on the trigger for calling this against President Trump and for Biden. And all I can tell you is the great guys of the campaign, led by our old partner here in the War Room, Jason Miller. He's taken the analysis, I'm sure, of all the hard work of Greg Manns and Steve Cortez, but they're fired up over at the White House right now. They think this is outrageous. Why do you agree with them?
All right, let me give them the data behind that, right? I'll save the yelling for them, but it is outrageous, Steve. The bottom line is we're talking about an 8-point lead, routinely erased tonight, and here's why it can happen. Maricopa County right there, 54-44, with actually less of the vote reported than the total vote statewide, okay? In the end, and then Patchy came in for Joe Biden, maybe a little bit, a couple hundred votes. Maybe that's what they're thinking. But in the end, what we saw in our polling was that the voter in Maricopa was going to come home and he was going to basically fight him to a draw in Maricopa, but it had to be done with that election day vote. In that first run of early ballots, in that first week, the polling was horrible for Donald Trump on who voted. In that second week, it got a little bit better, which is why it looks now like 10. And then in the election day vote, he could have fought that to a near draw, basically. And that's what he was doing in our polling to pull ahead. In Pima County, there's still a lot of vote in Pima. He needs to get to 40, but this has been the trend all night where he absolutely could. So this call was early, and it makes no sense when you put it up against Florida being over 2 hours before they call that. By the way, I can also say Texas is safely in the column of the president.
What do you think Texas is going to end up? What kind of spread? That's the thing about that's Texas is now turned in. I think it's pretty big. It's over 5%.
Yeah, it's we got it right now, almost 6. There is a little bit left. If we take a look at the map, which we could do right here, the burbs around Dallas, see them? This is Dallas, guys. He didn't do that bad there, but he got killed, of course. It's basically in. Dallas is in. The burbs around Dallas really needed to go for Biden for him to put a run on this. In truth, Biden is underperforming Beto pretty significantly. This is not even a Beto Cruz map. This is a dominant Republican map, or at least it will be, although I would worry about it going forward. Here's Harris, by the way, also another stronghold for Democrats. Stevie's at 42%, the president, 42.5% in Harris. There's just nowhere else for Biden to get votes. And as this map fills in, it will get more red. And I think the president's headed for an 8-point win in Texas.
Wow.
I really do.
I got to tell you
And
that.
Georgia, oh, look, the decision desk finally called it. I did say I was going to do it. When I got on with you, I said, listen, Texas is over. We're calling it. And then Georgia, too. Georgia is on the way to be to being called. The president just keeps widening out his lead there.
And what is Georgia going to come in at?
Well, this is why I think a lot of the vote is remaining in some of these smaller counties. You see 74% here, but most of it is basically in. And then the blue counties, Biden won. He's got some. That's less than 99. That's about 99. Same thing, 99. So he's about maxed out. There are some votes in the Atlanta suburbs, but not enough, Steve, to offset what is 450,000 margin. And then you'll have some of these smaller red counties. See Lumpkin over there. You're going to have some 1,000 spread here, 1,000 spread there. The president's going to come in pretty big in Georgia. I think it's going to be pretty big. It's going to be like, I would say 11 points. It's going to be big.
Hold on. He's going to win Georgia by 11 points?
Yeah, he seriously could win Georgia by, well, if it shrinks down in the burbs and these others don't come in, maybe it goes down to 8 or 9. But I would say low end 6.5. High end 11.
6.5 to 11. We were worried about that one at the beginning of the broadcast. Let's go to North Carolina. Let's drill down there.
Yeah.
Where do you think you're? So you've called Texas. You've basically called Georgia. Put that in this category. What do you talk about North Carolina right now?
So this still looks like 1.5, 1 to 1.5. If some of the counties come in a little bit better, he could inch up to about 1.7. But this is another race. Honestly, we're on the brink of calling. Orange is almost out. Guilford is out. My argument here is this, Steve. Mecklenburg is at now 100% almost. Are they supposed to tell? I mean, really, what is the likelihood that over the next 9 days they find 100,000 ballots and they break for Joe Biden 90-10? We have seen nowhere in the country where anything broke for Joe Biden 90-10. So that ends us up really where we started, around 1.5, 1.2.
Okay, I want to bring in Bill real quickly. When you say on North Carolina at 1% to 1.5%, how many mail-in votes are not? How many mail-in votes, Richard, are that not included? Can this be called tonight? I mean, can we put this one to bed? Or at 1%, are they going to say that's too tight and it's just going to be hanging out there? Since ballots that are postmarked by tonight still have 9 days, and I don't know what they're doing for mail delivery down in rural Carolina, but 9 days. Is there that many votes that are potentially outstanding with mail-ins that have not been counted that they couldn't call North Carolina tonight?
No, they're not there. That's the point I'm trying to make to Decision Desk and others right there. They have the numbers like I have the numbers. North Carolina, there were only 1 million, and not only, but compare this to the actual vote share. 1,455,328 total ballot requests for absentee. At the time that voting began this morning, there were already 4.6 nearly million votes cast. So the president got out about another million voters. And this is why he was able to dent some, leads everywhere. And think about that, Steve, what I just said right there. He got out another million, basically, and yet he won them by such a big share. He erased Biden's 12-point lead in that 4.6 nearly million votes. That is why I am saying what Fox is doing in Arizona is derelict. He took 1 million votes and erased a 12-point lead in a 4.6 million voter pool. That's less than a quarter, folks. That's less than a quarter. Do some quick math in your head and tell me how much the president's been winning election day votes. 3 to 1.
Okay, I want to give Bill McGinley, just for after we finish with Richard, I want to give you a heads up. We're hearing from people in Pennsylvania. They've cut off counting in Philly. in Philadelphia?
They have.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, is this where the games start? Is this where they're going to start
Yes.
to try to play smash mouth? They're going to hold back Philly until they got to find out how many votes they got to make up in the rest of the state. Then they're going to be voting by the ballot down there. Is that the situation? I mean, Richard Barris, I want to go to you first and then Bill McGinley. Why do you cut off counting in Philadelphia right now when this whole thing hangs in the balance? And why are you not going to call North Carolina when there's not enough votes out there?
Donald Trump flipped Bucks. That decision came. We heard that right after Bucks flipped. They've been fighting with a 2-point lead there. By the way, I just have to say, because you got to own it when you own it, Biden did take Lackawanna a little bit, but Monroe did go, and it went big, 24 points for Donald Trump. And almost 30 points in Luzerne. So Trump has a big lead here now, even if, Steve, they got another 500,000 votes. That would net Biden about 280,000 in what's outstanding in the Southeast. It wouldn't be enough. That's my point. It would not be enough. And we know we went into election day. We looked at the numbers before we came on. It was only 660,000 in Philadelphia. This is where the game begins. I hate to say it, but that's the reality, Steve. It really is.
So, Bill McGinley, for Richard Barris, do you agree in North Carolina and in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, they're starting to play the games now?
Yeah. Well, look, this is where the lawyers got to step up and be pretty aggressive, right? I mean, the first thing that's probably going to be happening, especially in Philadelphia, is that the Trump and Republican lawyers are going to be out there contacting the election administrators, seeking explanations and assurances that these ballots are going to be secure, right? They're going to start pressing them on what's going to happen tomorrow morning, who's going to show up, and which watchers are going to be permitted into the room. The Democrats are going to be doing the same thing. We've seen this before where they pause the count if they don't think they're going to get through the evening, and they're going to try and do this. But this is where the lawyers on the ground in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina, got to step up and make sure that those ballots are secure and make sure that nothing is going to happen to them. There's any number of things that could happen here. My guess is that the Democrats are starting to go back and do exactly what I said. They're going to start thinking about the postal office. They're going to start thinking about what ballots could be on the ground in the postal facility.
They got to find votes right now, right?
Yeah.
They know they got the denominator. They know what the target is. They got to solve for their part of the equation, which we've got to find more with these out.
Credit where credit is due. Democrats typically have pretty good data. So my guess is that one of the things that they're doing is they're going back, and their data and political folks are going back through to find the voters who requested mail-in ballots to be able to contact them to find out whether or not they deposited it into the post office. Because if they did, they're going to start getting affidavits from those folks and use it as a predicate to go in and start searching the postal facilities. The Democratic lawyers are thinking addition, right? And in some ways, the Trump campaign needs to be doing the same in North Carolina, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. They need to be going back through their data to see which voters that they have who requested ballots, put it in the mail, and didn't get in. You need to prepare to be adding whether you're on top or whether you're on the under the underdog. This is something that needs to start happening now.
I want to go back just for North Carolina. It hasn't been called. You're not prepared to call it yet. It's very tight. But do the math for the audience about the number of votes are outstanding, because this is the concept of being able to call it tonight instead of this, you got to wait till November 12th to all the ballots are in. Do the math for us, Richard, once again, where you're saying this is nonsense. This could be called tonight.
This can be called tonight. They're ballot hunting. They're ballot fishing. There were 1,455,328 absentee ballots requested during early voting. There were already 4,561,016 votes cast before Trump got another million to the polls. So in the end, he won 1 million voters so big that he erased that lead that Biden had, 12 points out of nearly 4.6 million votes. The idea that those ballots, first of all, Steve, have not been requested anyway. It's just not reality. The math is not there. It's just not there.
And this is also your argument for why you think Fox is calling Arizona quickly, because Trump has shown the ability. Your argument that, hey, he could close on 3-1 as you get down to Maricopa County and clean it up in the last 20%. He's done it before all night. And this is why you think they're way too quick on the trigger for calling Arizona. And clearly Jason Miller, our former partner here in the war room, the guys in the campaign are outraged that this thing was called.
Then they should be. Steve, they should. He's been doing it all night. That's been the pattern.
Okay, can we go?
Doing, and they know it.
I want to go up to Michigan. We've got a Senate race up there that looks tight. But is Michigan? You know, Jack Maxey keeps giving me the elbow. Is Michigan in play here? Could Michigan could Trump tonight recreate taking down the blue wall of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin? Get the trifecta again? Is this going to be as you see it today, right now? Is there enough votes out there for Biden to come back and really take on Trump in Michigan?
Yeah, let's take a look at the presidential race first, and then we'll go to John James, who is doing just a little bit better than Donald Trump. But the fact of the matter is they're both doing what they need to do to win. Here's the secret sauce for Michigan for a Republican candidate. You're going to lose Oakland County. How much are you going to lose it by? We had Trump down by 16, Steve, 16. He's only losing it by 7 points right now. And it does look a little bit better for Biden than it did earlier. So I'll give him that. But this is not the margin that Biden needs, because to win, you have to use Macomb right here, which Trump has increased his margin by nearly 10 points, roughly 10 points, folks. That's big. And you use Macomb to fight Oakland to a draw, nearly a draw. Then you use Monroe, which Trump is carrying overwhelmingly, to outweigh that equation. Then you have Wayne, you have Washtenaw, and you have Ingham. You have to use almost everything else in the rest of the state. This is going to flip soon anyway. I guess it has. It came in 6 points for Biden. Still not a big deal. Trump has the momentum. He has the numbers in these other counties to offset Wayne. And if you go to Wayne, something very interesting, both Donald Trump and John James are performing exceptionally well in Maine. Exceptionally well. They're both in the 40s, which is stunning. And dare I say, there's just no way to do that without getting a decent lion's share of the African-American vote.
But is this what Jack Maxey, Richard, is this what Jack Maxey's been saying about there's a realignment going on, and you can see it in South Florida, you can see it in Detroit. You're seeing Hispanics and African Americans start to respond to the populist economic nationalist message of Donald Trump. You know, Maxey's been beating this drum for a long time. Do you see that? Do you think right now in Michigan tonight, because you and I walked through what could be a path for Trump to have victory in Michigan, and this is exactly what you talked about the other day. Macomb County is the home of the Reagan Democrats. He said he's got to win Macomb. He's got to win it big, offset Oakland, and then he's got to fight. He's got to get in there and take some votes out of Detroit. Is this what you're seeing?
Yeah, this is what he's got to do. I'm seeing, and just to bring it up and see what we're talking about, he would not have done as well as he has done tonight without this realignment. There's just no doubt. In Florida, in Texas, he did exceptionally well among Western Texans in areas that Republicans don't do well with. That is a Mexican working class vote out there. And there was some hint of that even in the New York Times poll, which was abysmal. Obviously, they were horrible. But there was hints of that. They chose not to believe that voter, Steve. And from this point forward, what Donald Trump has proven tonight is where the path is forward for the Republican Party. They need to not they need to not resist him like they have been doing over the last 4 years, because there's just no doubt this is the only path if the Republican Party wants to be a national force in the future.
Okay. By the way, let's report that. That's Biden deputy campaign manager saying what? Is that just false bravado?
That's Rufus Gifford saying we're going to win.
Is that just putting the stiff upper lip, or they know something we don't? Before we let you go, Richard, we know you got to jump here. You're going to be back a little later. We now are in the 4th of November, the year of our Lord 2020. We've actually gone into the next day. But remember, when we won in 2016, it wasn't until 2:30 in the morning. So, Richard, I just want to give a snapshot in 60 seconds. No, you got to bounce. Wisconsin and Michigan. Where do you think we stand right now? And do you see Trump having momentum that these two, which to me would be a major upset, that he would take both Wisconsin and Michigan, that you had polls coming out in the last week that showed him 12 down, showed him 17 down, that basically these were not competitive. Where do you see these two before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say they lean to Trump right now. Michigan and Wisconsin lean to Trump. Steve, he's doing what he did in 2016, but he's doing it bigger. Again, I go to Michigan and I point out these two because this is really what it's all about. Here's McComb. He's winning it by 33 points. He only had 56% of the vote there in 2016. I don't mean only, because that was a feat for a Republican candidate back then. And nothing's like that since Reagan. We're now at 66%. And in Oakland, Biden is only up by 7. This is more than a draw, folks. This is more than a draw. This is turning into a thumping in Michigan. More than a draw.
What about, real quickly, what about Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, similar thing playing out there, although it did tighten a little bit. What we see is really, here's Milwaukee, Donald Trump at almost 40% with about half reported. That's way above the performance in 2016. And Biden is also below, which is important. In Racine, it tightened, but Trump just has to carry it. And then in Kenosha, he is romping, not just winning. He's romping. A lot of votes there, and it's causing a big spread. That leaves Dane, and they're in, Steve. They're in.
Okay, Richard.
I mean, really.
Richard, we're going to let you go. You'll have you back in a little while. Freshen up. Do your other stuff. We'll have you back. People loving what you got to say. They love the granularity. Love the detail. Thank you very much. We'll get back. Richard Barris is the head of Big Data.
Okay, so there we go. Looking interesting, and it feels like the Philadelphia experiment is on. Right? They are making a move. They are making a move. No Marxist future for me. Biden 227, Trump 210. That's not cool. That's not a good number, right? That is not a good number. You know, I'd like for Christmas a break from talking heads. We could always make that happen. Do I qualify as a talking head? Do I qualify as a talking head? I do. I am a head that talks. You can take a break from me. Just let me know. But it's hard to find another wench with the wrench like you. I'm hoping that DT takes control and wipes the floor with the Swampers. Let's see. How we, Callie, got our results so quick, I'll never know. Gee. Amazing. Must be that quantum voting. Let's see. What else do we have here? You have 212. 212 in here. Kanye getting any votes? I haven't seen any Kanye on any of these states that have. Well, I think he was on the ballot in Minnesota, but they're not. They're not. Minnesota's out of play, so they're not really looking at that. So the electoral count still has Biden in the lead. Bannon beams in from 1943, holding a rusty trumpet filled with red mercury. You know, Trump is playing out to be, Bannon's populist wet dream. I mean, this is really what Steve Bannon had in mind when he sought out Donald Trump or however that marriage came about. Like, that's what Steve Bannon had in mind. And he is now seeing it come to fruition because Steve Bannon was a Democrat. And he saw that the Democratic Party had drifted away from the American people. So he was trying to find somebody who he could kind of reanimate in his own image. And Trump was that guy. And I don't know what their relationship is like now. I know that Alex Jones hates him. I know that Steve Pachinik hates him. Whatever, if Steve Pachinik doesn't like Steve Bannon, I think Steve Bannon's okay. You're a talking astrologer, not head. That's funny. He's glowing. It's quite lovely to see him. Bannon is an interesting cat. I'm a talking torso. It's true. Look, astrology, this is all Trump's election. I mean, come on. True note, he's got his nodal return, moon sun conjunction in Gemini. Like, really? I mean, if it's a fair election, this thing isn't even close. Okay, it's not even close. The tricky part is the Mercury station. That's the tricky part. It's the Mercury station, it's funny how Mercury is involved with, things like mail carriers and post offices. And we got a Mercury station, and Philadelphia's just shut the vote down. It's a very Mercury station kind of moment. He took Bucks County. Whoa, that's a moment. That's a moment. They're very Hemingway-esque, right? Bannon and Jones, and they're kind of, although maybe Bannon more than Jones. I think Alex is a little pink in him, actually. AJ, shall we go check in on our friend Alex? Let's see what's going on with the InfoWars universe. He broke his crown the other day. He broke his crown because he grinds his teeth at night so intensely. Oh, he's hanging out with Steven Crowder. Let's check in with Alex. Let's see what he's up to. Here we go.
That's right. 5 ounces or Trump lose.
5 ounces.
Oh, they're drinking.
I'm not going to 5 ounces. I'm not going to open 5 ounces because I have to finish a broadcast here, Alex.
You're going to do a great job. This is what everybody wants.
Thank you. Look. You know what I wish?
100 mugs. That's probably 5. That's 5 shots. Okay.
That's probably 5 shots.
Yeah.
I wish that we had those big ice cubes, so it doesn't dilute over the course of the show. Yeah, I thought we had some, but unfortunately my wife used them for some kind of a project she found on Etsy. So, I beat her without mercy.
There we go. Oh.
Hey, you can see there's a little bit in there. Now, keep in mind, Joe Rogan couldn't peer pressure me to drink Gentleman Jack the way you just did for 2 reasons. 1, Gentleman Jack sucks. 2, I understand that you have my best interest at heart. I feel like Joe Rogan just wanted to argue with me about pot.
I love you.
Alex is sloshed.
You want me to have a good time.
Alex is fucked up.
The truth is,
all right,
Steven, we're going to get married.
What did I say?
Way,
I said Alex has a little pink in him, didn't I?
Did you read that Bloomberg article, by the way, that came out?
No, which one?
Okay, because I was worried that you might read, because there was this Bloomberg article that came out that was a hit piece where they asked me about you. And I said, oh, yeah, I said I had him on. I said I disagree with Alex Jones on a whole lot, but obviously he's an interesting character, and I don't like the doggy pile, and so I feel compelled to have him on. And then in the article, they just said Steven Crowder said he was an interesting character. So if it comes down to it, I've got the full phone call recorded. I actually was quite nice.
I disagree with me a lot. I just love your show. I watch you. Here's the thing. I watch you on my TV. I go to your channel and we watch it with the kids. So I watch you every day. So I'm like, I know you. So I don't care if you attack me. I deserve to be attacked.
No, but the point is, Alex, I didn't attack you. This whole piece was maybe Alex needs to know.
Misrepresent everything. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. Because you are an interesting character.
Say and believe it. So
yeah, you are an interesting character. You know that, but that's not an insult. You are a character. And I don't mean you're playing a character. It's like, you're a character. You're a guy.
We're all characters. So gut level, is Trump going to be president tomorrow morning?
There you go. Gut level, yes.
I agree.
What do you think? Okay, good.
He better be. My God, if that walking corpse is the president and people buy into that,
I tell you what, Steven. Have you actually tried to watch a full Biden rally? I don't mean 5 or 10 minutes. A full Biden rally. Have you tried?
I agree with you. Everybody's like, oh, it's out of context. I've sat there 5 or 6 times and watched an hour. It's worse than the clips. It's like, what the hell is this?
And I tell you what, I know that you've had a few, Alex. and you're still far more articulate than Joe Biden when he when he's on speed. By the way, right now they're saying on CNN that Joe Biden is to make a statement shortly.
Yep.
So I wonder what that's about. Please don't tell me he's saying I'm going to pull the switcheroo with Carmela.
By
I
the
get
way,
it's
he
Kamala,
said
but I
in
want her to choose me
Axios this morning. This morning in Axios, he said, I'm going to assert power and declare myself the winner, and the media is going to declare me the winner. So we're about to see history right now, Crowder. Actually, Steve,
Oh
I've had
my
nothing to
God.
drink today, okay?
Okay, well that's fair. So you haven't had any domesticated fowl 102,
and Joe Biden's not a Chi-Com agent. I've never had one drink in my life, and Joe Biden is not a traitor.
All right, Infowars.com. Alex, we do have to get going, but I appreciate you being on, brother. And there
he goes. All right, folks, there you go. There goes Stephen Crowder.
Alex is wasted. He's wasted.
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting. He was talking about the demographics, and I've talked about this before in terms of vetting electronic voting. You know, the electronic voting started in Venezuela. There's a couple of pals of Hugo Chavez that set up the first electronic voting company that got big, Smartmatic. And one of the things that the U.S. State Department does, you know, we've got one organization that does the exit polls throughout the whole United States, right? And they decide what they're going to report, and they will give a demographic breakdown, which is what Stephen Crowder was pointing out. But you know what they don't do is they don't tell you what the vote totals are, you know, on the exit polls, just the total votes. In other words, they'll say this percentage of females went for this candidate, this percentage of blacks or Hispanics or whatever. They'll give you that kind of demographic crosstab, but they won't give you a total, because what the State Department does to look at a dishonest vote is to do exit polls and then compare that to the reported votes. And if it's more than, I think the number is like 4%, they say this is a rigged election. So they never do that in the United States. You certainly aren't going to see it in this election. They're not going to give you anything like that at all.
So they're doing it again.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're here almost at midnight. It's 11:26 Central Time, 12:26 Eastern, 10:26 Mountain, 9:26 Pacific, and we're sitting here just waiting for the shoe to drop.
What time is it? Greenwich Mean Time.
David Knight's almost too smart for that show. I love David Knight. He can't stand Trump. He can't stand Trump. He can't stand politics in general. He's a true libertarian. What did I tell you, man? Alex has a little pink in him. You see how he said he loves Stephen Crowder? He had a certain look in his eyes when he said it, too. All right, I'm going to go to the void one more time, and then I think we're going to wrap. Back from the void. 237 to 210. Yeah, that's not looking too good. Not looking too good. Joe R is over. We knew Minnesota would go Biden. That was going to happen. We knew that was going to happen. Yep. Okay. Let's just do a quick check with Mr. Ian Miles Chong, who seems to be the kind of the source for things on Twitter. Let's check him out. Let's see where he is and what's happening here. Trump is still ahead in Wisconsin. 122,000 lead, 69%. Nicely expected vote count. Fox News just retracted Arizona. That was 1 minute ago. 1 minute ago. Arizona's back in play. All right. Let's see. Benny says, just got off the phone with the senior Trump campaign advisor. Fox is behaving like a super PAC for the DNC tonight. I have no idea what they are thinking. We will win. They have misled America. Who's going to be fired for this at Fox? Nobody. Republican Sheriff Troy Nehls takes Texas 22nd district. So I got to check in with what is going on with my man Chip Roy. Let's see what's going on with Chip Roy. He's in a tough race with Wendy Davis. Just nothing but a career politician hack. She's embarrassing. Wendy Davis. I've met Chip Roy. He's a good dude, actually. What do we got going on here? Let's see. He's ahead. Yes. Thank God. Here we go. Here's some good local news. I have to say. Right here. I'm going to throw this up here. And hopefully it stays this way. Where are we? So looks like 91% of the estimated vote is reported, 52 to 45. Wendy Davis is embarrassing. You know, she did this filibuster on the Senate, on the state floor here in Texas, and she has talked forever and ever and ever, and had to do with, I think, abortion or women's health or whatever. And that's how she made her name. And she ran against Greg Abbott for governor. She lost. Now she's taking on Chip Roy. Looks like she's going to lose here. Wendy, go find another gig. Go find another gig. Chip Roy, who was it? Chip Roy or Kyle Buterman, who's the rep here in Texas for the state legislature? I think Kyle called her Abortion Barbie. That's what her nickname was. So she's losing. I'm happy. Again, let's just go back here. Let's just check out Ian Miles Chong. Seems like this guy's got the pulse on the tweets. John Roberts just said Trump was livid, and Trump campaign has said there is at least 700,000 to 800,000 uncounted votes, and they're urging Fox to retract. How about that? So Fox is being run by Rupert Murdoch's kids. Rupert Murdoch's a globalist. He does, who kind of picked up on the Republican and the right market. Really, the guy who was kind of running the whole Fox enterprise was Roger Ailes. And I'm not a big Fox person. I never was really into Fox. I didn't like Bill O'Reilly. I thought he was a big windbag. He liked George Bush too much. I didn't like Sean Hannity. Big phony. I wasn't into Fox at all. And I'm still not really into Fox. But I do really like Tucker. He's got his limitations. And I think he's actually a pretty good addition to the Fox world. Everybody else on Fox I could care less about. Nobody fired at Fox. Yes, for AZ, if you add in North Carolina, Trump will be well ahead. Don't think it's safe for the finale. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pull the plug here. I gotta pay my rent before midnight, and you never know what'll happen with a Mercury station. Let me go into the void one more time. So there we go. Everybody, thank you for being a part of tonight's stream. It's been a real kick. It's been a blast. I'll be back here tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll be talking about the election. No doubt. Who do I think win? Well, I think Trump's going to win with if they count all the right votes. I think he'll win. If they don't count all the right votes, if they play some black magic, it's going to get contested, and we're going to be living in purgatory. But I do think no matter what happens, this thing will be settled by the 14th of December. Fox is Pennsylvania, but I'm just so glad that Trump won Bucks County. I'm so happy about that. That brings me great joy that Trump carried Bucks County. because I know some people in Bucks County who are really good people and who really wanted Trump to win. And I know some other people in Bucks County who really don't like Trump very much and wanted nothing less than Trump to win. And I'm just happy he won there. So everybody, it's been great. It's been a blast. Masaki, Charles, Daniel, everybody who called in. We'll do some more of the call and stuff more as we, move into the future. We'll do some more of that. It was a lot of fun. So everybody get a good night's sleep. And we'll follow up in the morning. Hang on. We're on a magic carpet ride. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.